And now, Mike's thoughts.
There is a team that lives in everybody's head rent-free. There is a team that no matter what you do, no matter what you say, there will be haters and there will be lovers. That is the reason why the Dallas Cowboys will forever be America's team. That is why the Dallas Cowboys will forever be up here and your team will be down here. Because I can make a post and say the Dallas Cowboys are XYZ, and there will be thousands upon thousands of comments posted about the Eagles, posted about how they haven't won a Super Bowl since '96, haven't they done this, this, and this, and this, and this. The simple fact of the matter is the Dallas Cowboys is America's team. The Dallas Cowboys will forever be America's team. Jerry Jones has put out a great product for the Dallas Cowboys. They may not live up to expectations every year. They may not do this and they may not do that. But the simple fact of the matter is they do their work and they do it well. When we speak about the Dallas Cowboys, you must put some respect on their name. When you talk about the Dallas Cowboys haters, you must just put some respect on their name. So with that being said, the Dallas Cowboys will and forever will be America's team. Cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Yeah, hey, let's go. Hitting that gridiron, we going hard, we running the plays. You know the vibe, only the strong survive. Gotta keep your head in the game. Talking NFL, uncut, straight raw. Steady bringing that sauce. We about to take off. Get it hype, this man, our sport talk. Yeah, from the quarterback to the lineman. Everybody bringing heat. You don't really want to try them. Hey, who gon' win? It's a battle of the giants. This show is the flyest. Nobody can deny it. This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? Let's go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckeye Show with the Man Hour. Over at manhourradio.com. Check out the blog section. Of course, check out the merchandise section as well. And if you want to talk some shit, check out the forums as well. The only censorship over there on the forums is me, and I am a very uncensored person, if you guys know that by now. But guys, this is a new week, July 8th, 2024, here at 2:30 East Coast here on the beautiful Monday edition of Man Hour NFL Talk. And this is NFC East Week. We'll be breaking down the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be breaking down the New York Giants on Tuesday. We'll be breaking down the Washington Commanders on Wednesday. Thursday, we got the infamous Philadelphia Eagles. And Friday, we got the way or no way of the day. Put out all your questions. Put out all your feelers now because we want to answer any question because this is live. This is Raw, and this is uncut NFL talk every Monday through Friday at 2:30 East Coast time. But if you are a pigskin pundit, you can become a pigskin pundit by clicking on the subscribe button below. If you are a pigskin pundit, the show starts a little early for you. Starting tomorrow, that's right, we bring back the pigskin pundit pre-show around 1:45-ish, 1:30-ish. We get the juices flowing. We start talking that shit about anything that you guys want to talk about. Anything you guys want to talk about. But speaking of talking about anything, gotta welcome some people in the chat. Got John Pebbles in the chat. He says, broke down to Brokeback Mountain. Always with the Cowboys jokes. Always with the Cowboys jokes. James Chambers in the chat as well. He said he missed the AFC West talk last week. I can't remember that comment. I saw it somewhere but nonetheless, James, you can check out all the AFC West talk from last week. You can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Man Hour. We have all the clips over there. We have the videos over there. We have the lives over there. And of course, I posted all the AFC West movie per se on Saturday, and I can send you the link as well. We got all 4 or all 5 shows on there actually for a nice long chat there. So welcome back to the show. We got my man Mark D is back in the chat today. Speaking of D, he says, I predict the Eagles are winning the East. That's okay. I predicted the Eagles will probably be last in the East. Maybe. I don't know. Spoiler, I guess. It is what it is. But guys, welcome to the chat. We also got Jim Powell in the chat as well. He says it's the Cowboys. No one cares except us Raiders fans who are waiting for the Raiders to Raider and get Dak early. So Jim says Raiders are going to suck. Jim says the Cowboys are going to suck, and they're going to make a trade to get Dak Prescott. If they make a trade to make Dak Prescott, that is the most Raiders thing ever to do because Dak Prescott's up for a contract at the end of the year, and I believe he has a no trade clause as well. I am correct. He does have a no trade clause. Thank you. So I don't know. John says, don't worry, bunch of my Raider bashing. It's not bashing if it's facts, Jim. It's not bashing if it's facts. Jim also says, America's team, LOL, they got sloppy seconds. That's okay. Okay. I did. Scott Sanders is in the chat. What's up, Scott? What's that little flag mean right there? I think you're a milestone follower. So thank you for reaching us help us reach our goal, Scott. He says, until Jerry gives up some control to the coaches, they will be mediocre all the time. The last 7 years-ish, Jerry Jones is starting to give more control to Stephen Jones. They have nailed the draft. Stephen Jones has done a great draft job for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think you're right, Reem. Like, Jerry still has that very persuasive thing about him saying, hey, do it my way or go find a new job. And that has kind of been the biggest thing about the Dallas Cowboys is their head coach has always had to been a yes man, and that's why Jason Garrett did stay around for as long as he did because he was the yes man. He was the ultimate fall guy, but he was always a yes man. So I get it. With that being said, Mark says Jerry Jones said they were going all in, and meanwhile crickets. And that is a perfect segue to my first question of the day about the Dallas Cowboys before we get to the schedule breakdown of their 2024 seasons. It says, I got to ask the question, did the Dallas Cowboys get better this off season? Many people like Mark said crickets. We heard crickets all off season. And when you look at this list of names that the Dallas Cowboys lost this off season, they released Michael Gallup, which was now with the Las Vegas Raiders. They let go Leighton Vander Esch, which is injury-prone guy. I think he broke his neck again. They traded Tyron Smith, Tony Pollard let walk, Tyler Badaz, Dante Flower, Gallimore, Jonathan Hankins. They lost a lot of players. But when you subtracted most of these guys, right, there's a lot of injury-prone guys here. Leighton Vander Esch, he hadn't played a full season his whole career in the NFL. Tyron Smith, habitually hurt, game after game, year after year. When he's in there, he is dominant, but he's only played like 70% of the game. Tony Pollard, yes, he was franchise tagged last season. And the previous year before that, he broke his leg toward the end of the season. But that year, he was a great 1-2 punch with Zeke. But we found out quickly that he could not be the one guy. He needed a 1-2 punch guy with him. Dante Flower. Really, the only reason why he had a job last season is because Diggs went down with that ACL injury. What, week 3 or week 4? The week before the 49ers game. So, yes, they lost some players, but at the same time, a lot of these names are not really true hurt losses, right? I mean, I guess Tyron Smith was, but they did sign Eric Kendricks, a linebacker from the Vikings and Chargers. I think a really good pickup. will replace Leighton Vander Esch. Royce Freeman will replace Tony Pollard along with Zeke. Also in the draft, they addressed the offensive line, right? Their number one pick this season, Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma, going to pick up and left right off where Tyron Smith would leave off. They also drafted my man Cooper Beebe from the Kansas State University, added some more offensive line help. They also added a edge rusher in Marshawn Keeland to maybe help with the defensive lines that they missed, like a lot of backup guys like Nealon Gilmore, Dante, and of course Tyler as well. But the most important addition that the Dallas Cowboys had this offseason was their 6th-round pick. Their sixth-round pick, Ryan Florney from Southeast Missouri State. This man was a captain. He led his team to 1,000-yard receiving in 11 games, twice when he was with Southeast Missouri State. He is going to be a diamond in the rough, and he'll pick up right where Michael Gallup left off. So to say that the Cowboys did nothing all offseason, crickets, going all in, the Dallas Cowboys did not have to add a lot to their team to, quote, go all in. They addressed some of the biggest losses this offseason. Tyron Smith it's a big loss, but at the same time, he was always injured. Tyler Guyton, nice young offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Going to feel his roles just nice. Tony Pollard, kind of a crappy season last year. Let's just be flat and honest. You get Royce Freeman and Zeke to replace him. I think the Cowboys are going to be just fine. I think the Cowboys got better this offseason. I think the Dallas Cowboys are a team that right now many people are sleeping on. Was it Mark that said he has the Eagles winning it or something, or the Cowboys being last place? Like, don't be sleeping on the Dallas Cowboys. They got better this offseason. And John says, no effing way. No effing way the Dallas Cowboys got better this offseason. They did. That's just a point. They did. Eric Kendricks replaces Leighton Vander Esch. Better. Well, how is he better? He's going to be on the field for 17 games more than likely. Tyron Smith out. Protecting Aaron Rodgers now. Insert first draft pick, 29th overall, Tyler Guyton. Better than Tyron Smith. Why? Because he's going to probably play a full 17-game season. You are not going to have him for 10 games, 11 games. Michael Gallup was a kind of a shocking loss to me. But let's just be honest. Michael Gallup was 4th, 5th on that receiving core anyways, with CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Talbert, right? Jalen Brooks as well. Michael Gallup was the odd man out. So why not just let him ride off into the sunset? Go somewhere, maybe the Raiders can make him a top 10 receiver. I doubt it. But the Dallas Cowboys did get better. Mark says Cowboys are in trouble. They have to extend Dak and still have to pay CD and Micah. So first things first is the Dallas Cowboys will work out a deal with Dak Prescott. So Jim, Dak is not going anywhere. The Dallas Cowboys will work out a deal with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback, hell, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. There are only a very few amount of quarterbacks that I would take right now over Dak Prescott. Josh Allen, maybe Jared Goff, and Patrick Mahomes. Other than that, give me Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback. He will get signed. He will get extended, whatever you want to call it. It is going to be a very lucrative deal, but the Dallas Cowboys are smart. They're going to backload that money. They're going to make it a 10-year deal and spread it out among those years. But Dak has said publicly that he wants to be a Dallas Cowboy. And I feel that a hometown discount will be in effect for Dak Prescott. Now, CD and Micah, obviously they need to get paid. I believe CD Lamb is entering his final year of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. Micah is entering his final year as well. They can get franchise tagged. They can be pushed out for another year or two still. The current needs right now is Dak Prescott, franchise tag CD, franchise Micah, and then let your smart people, your CPAs, your financial gurus figure out the salary cap, maybe manipulate it just like the Denver Broncos did back when Peyton Manning was a Denver Bronco. Let them figure it out. Backload the money, convert all that money into signing bonuses or something. They will keep all three guys. They will keep all three guys and they'll be just fine. They'll be just fine. John says, stop the run, and Dak gives you 5 or 6 away. Don't make the playoffs. Cowboys are toast. So the biggest downfall for the Dallas Cowboys the last couple seasons have been costly turnovers. I will give you that. The biggest downfall for the Dallas Cowboys the last game was the defense. The defense has been the issue for the Dallas Cowboys the last 3 years. Yes, I know Dan Quinn turned that defense around, made the defense a top 5 defense. Dan Quinn did put in a good system, but also Dan Quinn shits the bed when times get tough. When it's a big game, Dan Quinn shits the bed. Atlanta Falcons, 28-3. Do I need to remind you? Dan Quinn does not know how to make that defense step up for big games. He is now gone. He is now the Commanders' head coach. We'll be talking about the Commanders on Wednesday. I have a special guest getting ready to join us, Michael Brothrew. He loves his Commanders. I'm going to dog him. Flat out, I'm going to dog him all show long. The reason why a lot of these interceptions that Dak throws is trying to get the Cowboys back into the game because the defense has shit the bed the previous quarter, the previous drive, the previous 3 drives. Dak Prescott did really good last season. Yes, he had some costly interceptions, but I was trying to get them back into the game. You cannot put all that blame on Dak Prescott. James says, typically good teams that have quiet off seasons come back better. I agree. The Dallas Cowboys did not have a lot of holes to fill. Yes, they lost a lot of backup players. Keywords there, backup players. Bring in Royce, Zeke, Rico Dunwilly, Eric Kendricks. Cowboys got better. James also said the Eagles are going to try hard and install a new look offense to get Saquon involved, and that causes them to take a step back. We'll be talking a lot about the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday, and I think the Eagles take more than just a step back. I think the Eagles are in complete rebuild mode, especially after this season. Jim says, Cowboy fans wear tassels and their pink cowboy hats. Nothing wrong with that. I like a good pink cowboy hat. Scott Sandage says, Jerry Jones is a financial wizard and will work out all those deals. Thank you, Scott. And if he can't figure it out, there's other people that can say, hey, let's try this. Let's try a little bit of this. I mean, honestly, this is a good problem to have. You have 3 of your star athletes on contract years. Put up or shut up. John says, have to go back to work, by the way. Cowboys suck. John, we'll see you on your way home, man. Drive safe. Cowboys do not suck. I think the Cowboys got better this offseason. However, is this a make or break year for the Dallas Cowboys? Is this a make or break year for Mike McCarthy? Is this a make or break year for Dak Prescott? Is this a make or break year for the rest of the team in general? And that answer to that question is very simple. It's yes. Dak Prescott needs to win a playoff game. Mike McCarthy needs to win a playoff game. Now, I do think the Dallas Cowboys will have a successful season. I do think the Cowboys will make the playoffs again. But I don't think it's good enough to just make the playoffs this season. They have to win a playoff game, and they have to at least compete in the divisional round. Right? If they're a wild card team, they have to compete in the divisional round. If they're a bye team, if they get the first overall seed, which could happen, they have to win that divisional round game. They have to win a playoff game this season. They'd have to do it in dominating fashion. So let me ask you guys this question. Is it a make or break year for the Dallas Cowboys? Does Dak Prescott have to be an MVP level? Does CeeDee Lamb have to put up 1,500 yards? Does Micah Parsons have to record 50 tackles? I think the answer to that question is very simple. It is yes. It is yes, and I think it's pretty cut and dry. Win me a playoff game, and you'll be okay. James says, I'm betting the over that short of a Super Bowl win, Mike McCarthy gets fired and Jerry Jones hires his buddy Belichick. Mike McCarthy, there always is a fall guy for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's usually the head coach. Whether it's Jason Garrett, whether it's Kellen Moore on the offense, right, which is still a stupid offensive play call to put Zeke at center, but we digress. And then this year is going to be Mike McCarthy. There is going to be a fall guy. At the same time, Mike McCarthy has been pretty successful in Dallas, right? 11, 12 wins year after year after year. Mike McCarthy does put the Cowboys on leading Sports Center every week. Now, is that just the Cowboys name or because of Mike McCarthy? We can debate that at a different time. But either way, his decisions puts him on front page news game after game, week after week. I think Jerry Jones still wants that yes man as the head coach. And I'm not for sure if Bill Belichick would be that yes man. Now, it makes sense. Take a year off, collect your thoughts, kind of collude and like not wanting to go to Atlanta or whatever. Look into that, guys. There was a lot of collusion happening. But if that were the case, if Bill Belichick does come in and be head coach, general manager, whatever his title would be, does he step on Stephen Jones at that particular point? And if that were to happen, I think the Dallas Cowboys franchise, their longevity is at a crossroads. We're at the Y in the road. Do we want Bill Belichick to take over the Dallas Cowboys, or do we want my son Stephen Jones to take over the Cowboys? Because there would be a major power struggle, and I don't think the Dallas Cowboys can handle that right now. But I don't know. Kind of makes sense. I'll say it. McCarthy is a very good coach, and he will immediately find another job. See, we thought that when he got fired for the Green Bay Packers too, right? When Aaron Rodgers wanted him out, we're like, oh, he'll get a job. Was it 2 years before he found a job? I don't know. Scott brings up a great point. He says if Mike McCarthy goes, Mike Zimmer steps in. When they hired Mike Zimmer, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, that's the head coach in waiting. When I saw the Mike Zimmer hire, I was like, Mike McCarthy's days are numbered. Mike McCarthy instantly on the hot seat once they bring in Mike Zimmer. And it makes sense. Mike Zimmer is a former head coach. Did decent in Minnesota. Could never get them that playoff win. But at the same time, did put up pretty good offensive numbers. We'll see. But guys, this is a make or break year for the Dallas Cowboys. With that being said, let's jump into the 2024 NFL season. Let's jump into breaking down these games. Let's jump in to the week 1 matchup. the Dallas Cowboys travel to Cleveland, Ohio to take on Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be a team that is this season that is going to be hungry, that is going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. However, I think this season they kind of start off rough. I think this season, in years past, they started off hot. 6-0, 7-0, right? Talk of the town, living everything right. But this game, everything points to the Cleveland Browns. At Cleveland, Deshaun Watson making his epic return finally, week 1. Nick Chubb's back. Tom Brady's first broadcast game, whatever. I like the Cleveland Browns in this game. Not because the Dallas Cowboys are not a good team, not because the Cleveland Browns are a bad team. It is because of the running game of the Cleveland Browns. There's going to be a common theme here throughout the show, and it is the running game. Last season, when the Dallas Cowboys lost games, it was versus teams that could run the ball effectively over and over and over. How do you defeat Micah Parsons? Run right at him. That's what Nick Chubb and the Cleveland Browns are going to do. Kevin Stefanski, right? He's a smart individual. Offensive guru, right? With that being said, run right at Micah, and I think they're going to do that over and over and over. Open up that passing game. Amari Cooper wants to give it to his old team. He's going to probably rack up $150. Give me the Cleveland Browns on this one, and I think Jim concurs. Jim say the Browns win this game. Casey Morgan has entered in the chat. What's up, Casey? He says it's a safe bet. A safe bet is the Cowboys will not make the Super Bowl. It's a safe bet for any team not to make the Super Bowl, honestly. But we digress from that. So I've had the Cowboys starting off the year 0-1. Week 2, they're at home, taking on a team that many people are kind of sleeping on, maybe. When you look at the off-season talk, the Saints are just kind of flying under the radar. They lost Michael Thomas, right? Derek Carr, kind of on the hot seat. The Saints, as a general, don't seem to be that good. I'm starting to scout some of their film, starting to get prepared for the NFC South breakdown happening in 3 weeks. But the Saints are just not very good, and the Dallas Cowboys exposed them. Zeke has a nice game. Royce Freeman has a nice game. Hell, we might even see Deuce Vaughn get in the action. I don't have any faith in the Saints whatsoever this season, and I think the Cowboys win this game, making them 1-1 on the season. Sorry, had a brain lapse there. Making them 2-1 on the season. Give us a week 3 matchup. Back at home, Baltimore Ravens come into A&T Stadium to take on the mighty Dallas Cowboys. If you guys haven't noticed yet, the Baltimore Ravens have a very tough first 3 weeks of the season. They play the Chiefs, they play the Raiders, and then they play the Cowboys. This is the game I've been kind of going back and forth on all day long. When I was breaking it down, when I was making my notes, I'm like, man, really? But listen to the common theme I said about week 1. Running games are going to be the Dallas Cowboys' Achilles heel most of the season. And what did the Baltimore Ravens do very, very well? They run the ball very well. Not only with Lamar Jackson, but with the plethora of running backs that they've had. Yes, they've lost the offensive coordinator. Yes, they lost their general manager this offseason, but that's a good thing. They bring in King Henry, and I think they hit him in the mouth. I think the Ravens run all over the Dallas Cowboys, giving them a 1-2 start on the season. Listen to the common theme. Run stopping is the problem for the Dallas Cowboys right now. Micah Parsons kind of getting exposed. Micah Parsons is kind of not maybe the man, the myth, the legend that we all thought he was. Casey Morgan pops in and says, both teams suck. Both teams suck, he says. Jim says, you already know. Ravens hit him in the mouth after losing to the Raiders. Okay. So Casey says, so you're saying the Ravens' first three games is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can put it that way. And James says this is Henry's first game. He's going to go off. Hopefully it's his third game by this particular point, but I think he goes off. I think he puts Micah Parsons on his ass several times in this game. But I have them starting off the season 1-2 so far. Losses versus the Browns and the Ravens. Their lone win versus the Saints. Give us a week 4 matchup on the road. Traveling to New York to take on Daniel Jones and the New York Football Giants. With this being said, talk about hot seats. Everybody on the New York Giants right now is on the hot seat. Everybody in a New York Giants NFL-issued logo shirt is on the hot seat right now. Brian Daboll, Daniel Jones, the rest of the offense, the rest of the defense, general manager, everybody is on the hot seat in New York. And they feel the pressure week after week after week. They feel the pressure each and every day. They feel the microscope skidding down on them. And they shit the bed versus the Dallas Cowboys. Do you guys remember last year when the Dallas Cowboys shut out the New York Jets was 30-0, and they just flat out flexed on the Jets all game long? I can see this week 4 game happening the same way. The Dallas Cowboys go into MetLife Stadium, put up a 30-burger, shut out the Giants, and Daniel Jones trips over the line at least 3 or 4 times running from his life for Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons steps up and has a great game. Why? Because the New York Giants have no running game. Nothing to worry about him getting ran over. Micah Parsons pins back the ears and sacks Daniel Jones 5 times. For the last 3 weeks, we've heard Micah Parsons just not in anymore. Micah Parsons overrated. Micah Parsons this. He comes out and he shows that he's not overrated. He's still a really, really good guy. Still a really, really good guy. Jim says, I wish I had 2 Kentucky hats, one to shit on and one to cover it up with. F your cards. F your cards. James says, Daboll loses his job in New York. Buffalo fires McDermott and brings in Daboll back to Buffalo and head coach of 2025. Can this man get any more clear of what's going to happen? James, slow it down, baby. I know they have released a script, but damn. Damn. If this were to happen, the Buffalo Bills kind of have to shit the bed, I think, this season. 8-9, 9-8 for that to happen. But I think McDermott is definitely on the hot seat. But I have the Dallas Cowboys beating the New York Giants week 5. Get us a week 4, giving us a week 5 matchup. Week 5 matchup. This is the game that I think I have circled on the calendar. I've looked at several week 5 games that, man, I like this game. I like this game. I like this game. I'm going to sit down and obviously we're going to air it for the pigskin pundits, and we're going to talk shit during each and every week. But this week 5 game is the game that I have circled. I'm like, hey, we might do this game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a really, really good team. Top 5 defense, pretty good offense. Basically, their quarterback has to not suck, and the Pittsburgh Steelers could potentially win the AFC North. The Dallas Cowboys right now are a 2-2 team. They are struggling. They are treading water, right? They're treading water in the deep end, and there's a lot of, whoa, you should have paid Dak. You should have paid Micah. You should have done this, and this. There's a lot of turmoil happening around the Dallas Cowboys franchise right now, and I think they come up to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the worst roads in America, and they hit a pothole and they shit the bed. They've gone back and forth. Loss, win, and this is a week 5 game is going to be a loss. I think Russ is just good enough to beat the Dallas Cowboys. I think that defense for the Dallas Cowboys is just bad enough to where they can't stop Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris has a nice 100-yard game, 150-yard game. Common theme for the losses. Can't stop the run. Dallas Cowboys cannot stop Najee Harris and the Pittsburgh Steelers in this run, giving them a loss, making them 2-3 on the season. James is making up for last week. Love your dedication, James. Giving us a rematch, week 6. Hang on. Coach, I'm eligible. Don't tell me, tell the ref. Referee, I'm eligible. No, you're not. Week 6, the Detroit Lions come down to AT&T Stadium to take on Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Last season, it was the NFL Classic, right? Coach Dan Campbell went for it 3 times on 4th down, and the Dallas Cowboys denied him all 3 times. Controversy call, whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Detroit Lions 21-20. Week 6 is the matchup. Week 6 is the revenge game, right? The Detroit Lions are going to come in there, stick it to the man, say, ha, see, we beat you guys last year, we beat you guys again this year. Well, guess what? The Dallas Cowboys are pissed off right now. They're tired of all the noise. They are tired of saying Micah Parsons sucks. They can't stop the run. They can't do this. They can't do that. Micah Parsons finally gets his helmet on tight, straps it up, and the Dallas Cowboys ultimately beat down the Detroit Lions. This is going to be a nasty, nasty game. We're going to see a sparks of old Zeke Elliott come out. He's going to get his 80 yards, right? Royce Freeman's going to get another 50. CeeDee Lamb's going to get 150 yards catching. Hell, he might have another 98-yard touchdown in this game. The Dallas Cowboys are going to win this game, and it's not even going to be close. Straight up, the Detroit28 are going to come out and they're going to shit the bed in this game. It is going to be a 21-10 score. 28-10 score. And the Dallas Cowboys look like a Super Bowl team. The Dallas Cowboys are a team on a mission. The Dallas Cowboys are a team that's, hey, now we rolling. Now we rolling. Taking us into the bye week. Zeke Elliott just had his nice first game of the season. Dak Prescott still doing work. The biggest question going into the bye week for the Dallas Cowboys is the defensive front seven. Years past, they've had one of the top defensive front sevens. This year, they are struggling. Micah Parsons is struggling. Eric Kendricks is struggling. The rest of the team is struggling. Gay, etc. They take this bye week, and I anticipate them making some type of play. I anticipate them trading for a defensive tackle. Maybe potentially another edge rusher, maybe a linebacker. I think the Dallas Cowboys are very active in this time of year, bringing in somebody to help Micah Parsons, to help solidify that front four, to solidify the front seven. They are looking for somebody to come help them, and I think week 7 is when they finally do that. But right now they are 3-3, going into week 8, taking on AFC champions at Santa Clara, California, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are a team we talked about must win with the Dallas Cowboys. The 49ers are in a must-win situation in 2024 as well. The San Francisco 49ers are a team that their Super Bowl window is closing rapidly. Brock Purdy wants a deal. Brandon Ayuk wants a deal. Let me retract that. Brock Purdy doesn't want a deal, but Brock Purdy will get a deal. $50, $60, $70 million. He will be the next highest paid quarterback. No question about it. Brandon Ayuk wants his money. Debo got his money. 49ers are a team that you kind of have to win now or may not ever see them produce Super Bowl bursts again. With that being said, common theme for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to repeat it again. Can't stop the running game. However, the San Francisco 49ers have come out and said that CMC will touch the ball less this regular season. CMC will kind of be on a, quote, a pitch count type of thing. But it doesn't matter. I think the 49ers are a little too much for the Dallas Cowboys in this Week 8 game. Hell, it might be another blowout. Might be 35-7. The 49ers come out and they flex on the NFL. They flex on the Cowboys. And this game it's never really close. This game is never really close. And it ultimately kind of opens the eyes for the Dallas Cowboys. Like, man, maybe we're not that good. Maybe we are bottom feeders of the East. Maybe it is time to blow this thing up. Maybe it is time to, stop living in the past. Jim says the Cowboys running game takes a hit when Zeke slips and poo on the street. Not wrong. Although his belly would probably bounce him right back up. Jim also says it's because they do that in San Fran. They do what in San Fran? I don't know. Don't know what you're saying. But right now, I have the Cowboys sitting at a 500 record. Wins over the Saints, Lions, and Giants. Losses to, actually, they're 3-4 right now. So they're below 500 team going into week 9. There's a bunch of grumblings in Dallas-Fort Worth area right now. The Dallas Cowboys are topic of choice on many shows right now. Dak doesn't have it. CD is overrated. The Cowboys just suck. They're no longer America's team. How can you have America's team when you're 3-4? The list goes on and on and on. But truth of the matter, the Dallas Cowboys have had a pretty tough schedule. Right? They opened up with the Browns. They played the Saints at home, at least I guess, right? They played the Ravens, Steelers, Lions, and 49ers. They've had a pretty rough stretch. It doesn't get much easier, but it does get a little easier. And the first easy air quote game here is this week 9 game with the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have their new look offense, new head coach, new offensive coordinator. Kirk Cousins at the helm. B. John Robertson coming in his second year. Highly overrated second year, but B. John Robertson. I think the Cowboys win this game. I think B. John is just not very good. I think the Dallas Cowboys front seven finally steps up and is a top 5, top 10 defense in the NFL. Mike Zimmer has finally fine-tuned that defense to his liking, and now they're going to start to pile on people. I think the Atlanta Falcons lose this game. I think the Dallas Cowboys go into 500 mode, going into week 10 at home, taking on a bad Philadelphia Eagles team. Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles will digress this season. We'll do a complete breakdown of them on Thursday, but I'm telling you, the losses that the Eagles have suffered this season, all of the offseason talk that they've had this year, like how can you go from 10-0 and miss the playoff, or barely almost miss the playoffs, got to them this offseason. I think Jalen Hurts is a very, very overrated, overpaid quarterback. Jalen Hurts had one good season, led them to the Super Bowl, got lots and lots of money, and hasn't done shit since. First 2 seasons, shitty. Third season, great. Year 4, bad. They paid A.J. Brown, right? They're paying Devontae Smith. The point of the matter is the Eagles have taken a lot of steps back, just not one, not just 2, but 3, 4, 5, 6, and the Dallas Cowboys exposed them in this game. The Dallas Cowboys are now on a 2-game winning streak, and they're playing really, really good football right now. The Dallas Cowboys are looking like a team that could potentially go to the Super Bowl. Jim Powell says, no Kelsey, no line for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll be talking about that a lot on Thursday. Week 11, the Battle of Texas. Houston Texans flying high, looking great. The Dallas Cowboys, 2-game winning streak. Winners of 3 of their last 4. Above 500 for the first time this season. Looking pretty good. Houston Texans are a really good team. Let's not throw any shade on the Houston Texans. Last season may have been a fluke. A drop pass got them into the playoffs, ultimately won a playoff game, but this offseason they got better. They added another receiver and Stephon Diggs. They added defensive line and Daniel Hunter. They added some linebacker help. When we break down the Houston Texans, I'm shockingly surprised of like how much better they actually got. But I think it is too much Dallas Cowboys in this game. Dallas Cowboys at home beat the Houston Texans. Jim says CD teaches old head a lesson. Dallas Cowboys have now winners of the 4 of the last 5, 3 games in a row. They are 6-4 on the season, atop of the NFC East, going into Week 12. Taking on Jalen Daniels, rookie quarterback in the Washington Commanders at Washington, D.C. This is a game that I'm just like, I had the Cowboys losing this game. Why? Because every time the Dallas Cowboys start to do well, every year, every week, every season, they have a game like this. They have a game where they just simply do not show up. They have a game where the defense is going to be a vanilla defense and Jaden Daniels is too good of a rookie quarterback to go against a vanilla defense. I think the Washington Commanders in the Dallas Cowboys 3-game winning streak, this Week 12 game, kind of at the right time, because the Dallas Cowboys were starting to get that big inflated ego. The Dallas Cowboys fans were starting to pump their chests like a little bit. The Dallas Cowboys fans were, hey, Super Bowl bound, baby. This loss to the Washington Commanders kind of deflates that ego, but also kind of gets them right at the right time. Give us the Week 13 matchup. Daniel Jones and the New York Football Giants come back into Texas Stadium, AT&T Stadium. The Dallas Cowboys win this game. Another flexing. It could be another shutout game, another 30-0 game. Dallas Cowboys sweep the New York Football Giants. Give us a Week 14 matchup. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals come down into AT&T Stadium. This is a game that I'm pretty intrigued about. This game could be a must-see TV game. Could be, but it's not going to be because the Dallas Cowboys are going to flex all over the Cincinnati Bengals. Flex all over the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't care if Joe Burrow, Jake Browning, or Carson Palmer is the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Dallas Cowboys are too much for the Bengals in this Week 14 matchup. Giving the Cowboys another 2-game winning streak right now. Potentially going into 3. And guess what? They do get a 3-game winning streak. They go into Carolina and they beat down Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, a bad Carolina Panthers team. Another 3-game winning streak. Another Super Bowl caliber team. Another talk of the town. Another like, hey, who can beat us right now? We've already beaten the Eagles. We've already beaten the Giants. We've already beaten whoever else. We've beaten the Lions. The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl at this particular point, right? Week 16. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield come into town. Dallas Cowboys love ruining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season year after year after year. Whether Tom Brady is the quarterback, Jameis Winston is the quarterback, or Baker Mayfield is the quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this Week 16 matchup, giving them a 4-game winning streak. Winners of 7 of their last 8, 8 of their last 10. The Dallas Cowboys right now are the talk of the town. Jim thinks Baker Mayfield will smoke him out, and so does James. Guys, I do love me some Baker Mayfield, but right now the Dallas Cowboys are playing some really good football. Like I said, winners of the last 7 of 8. They're clicking on all cylinders right now. Give us a Week 17 matchup. Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys in Philly. This is a game that, the Dallas Cowboys don't really need at this particular point. It would be nice to sweep the Eagles. It would be nice to really stick it to them and hit a team while they're down. But just like the Commanders earlier in the season, the Dallas Cowboys always find a way to F up toward the end of the season. As the the Dallas Cowboys toward the end of the season. They win this game, they probably wrap up the division. If they win this game, they're guaranteed a home playoff game. They're probably second seed in the NFC playoffs. Weather will definitely be a deciding factor of this game. James is correct. And I think the Eagles win this game. I think the Dallas Cowboys are kind of overlooking the Philadelphia Eagles right now. There has been a lot of talk of resting players. There's a lot of talk of, hey, just win one out of your next two, and you guys will win the division. This, and this, and the Cowboys come up and shit the bed on the road again, dropping the 4-game winning streak. Losses versus the Commanders and the Eagles. Oof. Give us a Week 18 matchup. Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders come into AT&T Stadium. Commanders already beat the Dallas Cowboys earlier this season. The Dallas Cowboys right now should be atop of the NFC East. Giants are bad. Commanders are bad. Philadelphia Eagles are not very good either. When we look at the Commanders and look at the Cowboys game, this is the must-win for the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have to win this game to win the division, to seal their playoff fate, to potentially make a playoff run, and the Dallas Cowboys come out and they finally beat the Commanders. 17-10, 17-16 is a nice close game. Dan Quinn's epic return back to the AT&T Stadium it's spoiled, and the Dallas Cowboys win this game. So the Dallas Cowboys have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games since their bye week of week 7, giving them 11-6 record on the season. I had the Cowboys going 11-6 on the season, struggling early in the season, losing to the Browns, Ravens, Steelers, and 49ers. But the second half of the season, they get hot. Once that 49er games hit, the Dallas Cowboys get hot. They drop a game to the Washington Commanders. They drop a game to the Eagles that they shouldn't have lost, but they do. It happens every year. A team just forgets to show up. I think the Cowboys go 11-6. I think the Dallas Cowboys are probably atop of the NFC East at this particular point. Now, stay tuned. Maybe the Commanders can get hot. Maybe the Giants can get hot. Maybe the Eagles won't be as bad as I've said they were. But I think right now, the NFC East is the Dallas Cowboys division to lose. I think it is. So with that being said, guys, do you agree? Do you like the Dallas Cowboys going 11-6? Is it too generous? Is it not enough? Can they beat the Commanders and Eagles and go 6-0 in the division and go 13-4? Very good potential, very good possibility. You know how last Friday we talked about maybe the AFC West is the worst division in football? Maybe it's the NFC East. I said it was the NFC South, but now looking at the NFC East, watching their film, really getting ready to break down the rest of the week, the NFC East is not very good either. But with that being said, guys, see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. We out.
And now, Mike's thoughts.
In the land of football, in the land of the New York Football Giants, to be exact, which we call them the New Jersey Giants, the simple fact of the matter is they have not been good for a very, very long time. Even when they do win the Super Bowl, they are a 9-10 win team. They have never been, quote, that dominant team throughout the regular season of the NFL. And I don't think at any time in the next near future, they're going to be a dominant team. So when we talk about the New York Giants today, just understand that in the end, they're a bad team. In the end, they're never going to dominate anybody. In the end, they have let everybody that could potentially lead them to the playoffs walk in free agency, trade them, whatever. So when we speak about the New York Football Giants today, keep an open mind. Keep an open mind to the fact that we're probably going to dog them a lot. Keep an open mind to the fact that we're going to dog them next year. Keep in mind that we're going to dog them even the year beyond that. The New York Giants are just not a good football team, guys. Admit it. Woo! Just admit it. They're not a good football team. And when we break them down today, when we talk about them, I'm going to surprise you. I might surprise you guys actually quite a bit. Maybe, just maybe, I am on this New York Football Giants bandwagon. Maybe, just maybe, I want to see them do good. Maybe, just maybe, they aren't as bad as we thought they are. Who knows, who knows, who knows. But cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Yeah, hey, let's go. Hitting that gridiron, we going hard, we running the plays. You know the vibe, only the strong survive. Gotta keep your head in the game. Talking NFL, uncut, straight raw, steady bringing that sauce. We about to take off, get it hype. This man, our sport talk. Yeah, from the quarterback to the lineman, everybody bringing heat. You don't really wanna try them. Hey, who gon' win? It's a battle of the Giants. This show is the flyest. Nobody can deny it. This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? Let's go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckeye here with the Man Hour, short of manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page, check out the blog section as well. But most importantly, if you like talking your shit and you don't like getting banned from Facebook, click on that forums button at manhour.co, manhourradio.com. There's a forums button. You can get rid of the forums and you can talk all the shit that you want. You can talk about my mama, you can talk about your mama, you can talk about a little bit of this and a little bit about that. But the only censorship is me. And I got some thick ass skin, so you're gonna take a lot to get a ban from our forums. But with that being said, guys, this is Man Hour NFL Talk. We are live every Monday through Friday, 2:30 East Coast time, right here at Facebook.com and, of course, YouTube.com as well. But most importantly, guys, if you guys miss any part of the show whatsoever, we upload clips every 3 hours. Noon, 3, 6, 9, midnight, 3, 6, 9. The cycle goes on and on and on. We update clips every 3 hours. Also, we have a podcast out there. This live show that you guys are watching right here, right now, is up on podcast pretty much almost as about an hour after this show is over. I edited it a little bit. I trimmed down the intro, put it in MP3 form. Bada bing, bada boom. It's out there on Spotify and the old iTunes and interwebs in general. But most importantly, guys, right here, right now, click on the subscribe button. Click on the subscribe button, like the feed that you're listening to, and of course, share with a couple friends, because sharing is caring at the end of the day. As we carry on our NFC East week breakdown, we've already done the Dallas Cowboys, and today we're doing the New York Football Giants. Wednesday is the Washington Commanders, and Thursday we're going to talk about the infamous Philadelphia Eagles. Let's welcome the man, the myth, the legend, the COO of Pigskin Pundit, John Pebbles is in the chat. What is up, John? Good morning. We had a nice little Pigskin Pundit stream before, I don't know, 12:30 today, whatever it was. It was just out there shooting the shit. That's sometimes what we do. I showed you guys a picture of my Snoop Dogg over there. Now, I don't partake in that kind of thing, but Snoop Dogg does. And we had my son's birthday. The theme was nothing but a G thing, but we put G instead of 3 because he turned 3. Ain't nothing but a 3 thing. We got a poster of Snoop Dogg, and bada bing, bada boom. It's up there. It's a good time. You guys get to interact with me. I get to interact with you. We get to know each other more, and we enjoy talking shit to each other, because that's what friends do, and that's what Pigskin Pundits are, guys. We are friends. We are family, and all of the above. But we got to talk about the New York Football Giants. The New York Football Giants are a team that's kind of a head scratcher this season, right? They have a potential to be pretty good. Potential. If all their draft picks pan out, if Daniel Jones comes back and does a shell of himself, they could potentially be pretty good. But let's flash back to 2023 before we get too carried away. They did finish the season 6-11. Daniel Jones goes down week 6 with the ACL injury. Insert Tommy DeVito toward the end of the season. Kind of got them on a hot streak, you can say. He won 4 games for them, with ultimately getting benched toward the end of the season after a bad loss versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And they ended up finishing the season 6-11. With a season with very much promise, it's just they shit the bed yet again. They Giants the Giants. We talked about Jets being the Jets jetting and the Raiders raidering. The Giants seem to giant every season. Along with this offseason, they lost a couple key parts of their team. Saquon Barkley. I said a couple. The biggest key was Saquon Barkley. They did let him walk in free agency this season. He ultimately signed with the rival Philadelphia Eagles, and we're going to talk about how big of loss that actually is for them coming up here on the Way or No Way of segment number 1 of today's show here on this Tuesday edition of Man Hour NFL Talk. But this year in the draft, many people were speculating that the New York Giants were going to draft a quarterback. They were going to move up. They were going to draft a quarterback. Daniel Jones was going to be replaced. It was going to be this. It was going to be that. They ultimately ended up taking Malik Neighbors from LSU, a very talented wide receiver. I think going to fit in very, very well there in New York. And then they decided to strengthen their defense a little bit. They signed Tyler Nublin, safety from Minnesota, in the second round. They drafted Andrew Phillips from Kentucky, the Kentucky Wildcats. Jim, right there. Kentucky Wildcats. Livet in the third round. And they've drafted a tight end by the name of Theo Johnson from the Penn State. The Nittany Lions. This Theo Johnson, I kind of like this guy a lot. I've watched a lot of film on him, and he doesn't necessarily jump out at you saying he is going to be one of the greatest tight ends ever, but judging by his interviews, talking with some people that have played against him, right? This guy is a workhorse. He works hard. He studies hard. He puts in the work day after day after day. He has the potential to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Not this year, not next year, but once he gets his feet under him, gains that body up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look out for the name Theo Johnson, guys. I want you guys to put that out there. Theo Johnson, 4th round draft pick from Penn State, the tight end. I think he is going to do very, very well. John says, like we're talking like G-Men. John also says that Tommy DeVito will start this season. And that's exactly where I want to go right off the bat. Obviously, guys, we know that Daniel Jones went down week 6 with that ACL injury. But let's not forget, just a couple years ago, Daniel Jones did lead Brian Daboll to Coach of the Year. Daniel Jones had a great season. Saquon Barkley was out, I think, 90% of that season. They battled through adversity all season long. I think that same year I think they made the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. But insert the next year, Daniel Jones gets that big deal, 4-year, $160 million deal. Ends up going down week 6 with a torn ACL. The biggest thing about this contract is after this season, Daniel Jones has no more guaranteed money. And correct me if I'm wrong, it is only a $30 million cap hit if he is released or they make a move before the 2024 deadline. So only $30 million cap hit in this year. So we got to ask this question, guys. Way or no way does Daniel Jones bounce back from a horrible 2023 campaign? When I say horrible, in those 6 games that he did play, he had a QBR of 36.3. 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He tore his ACL week 9, by the way. I'm sorry, I misspoke. 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions with an abysmal 36.3 QBR. Anything is a bounce back like at this point, as long as Daniel Jones is just an average of what Daniel Jones normally does when in his career, it will be a bounce back. I mean, let's just look at the 2022 season, right? He threw for 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. 2021, he threw for 2,400 yards, 10 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. 2020, 3,000 yards, 11 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Obviously, guys, Daniel Jones has to bounce back. This is a make or break season for the whole New York Giants franchise. From Daniel Jones to Brian Daboll to whoever the general manager is, the whole team, the whole organization has to bounce back. 6-11, 7-10 is not going to cut it. They have to be a 9-win team for Daniel Jones to probably be on this team next season. So with that being said, do I think Daniel Jones has a bounce back season? I think Daniel Jones will have another one of his average seasons. He'll throw for 3,200 yards. I take that back. He'll throw right around 3,000 yards, maybe 15 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. He's going to be a middle of the pack, just good enough quarterback to maybe skin by for the next season. So we got to ask that question, guys. Do you think he will bounce back in this 2024 NFL season? Does he bounce back and have a good season? I'm going to say he does bounce back. I think he does have one of his average seasons. Losing Saquon Barkley is going to hurt. And that's just the next question. That is the next question. How big a loss of Saquon Barkley is to the New York Football Giants? Obviously, guys, Saquon Barkley has been the heart and soul of the New York Giants running game for last 4 or 5 seasons, right? Granted, he has been hurt. Granted, when he is not in there, the team doesn't click. But when he is in there, the team does click. And I'd rather have you on the field than off the field. I'm going to take a lesser of a running back that can give me 17 games versus a running back that's only going to be there for 9, 10, 11 games a season. So with that being said, how big a loss is Saquon? Saquon is a huge loss for the New York Football Giants. Saquon is probably the one piece that they could not afford to lose this offseason. Let's just be flat honest. I know everything that I just said. I'd rather have 17 games versus 10. But Saquon Barkley did play a full season last year. Saquon Barkley may have potentially got past that injury hurdle that he was suffering in New York. A year off, finally had a chance to fully heal, fully repair himself, and finally be the man, the myth, the legend that we all think that Saquon Barkley is. Think about this, guys. Saquon Barkley's rushing yards last season. 80% of in between the tackle rushes, he had a guy on him the minute he had the ball in his hands. So Daniel Jones or Tommy DeVito says downset hike, hands the ball off to Saquon up the middle. There's a linebacker, there's a nose guard, there's something in the middle. Only 15% of those plays, Saquon Barkley lost yardage. So he's getting the ball 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. There's a guy in his face within 2 yards of him, and 85% of the time, he's gaining yardage. 0 to plus yardage on that. That is a huge, huge loss. Will Devin Singletary be able to do that? Probably not. And I don't see anywhere where the New York Giants line got better. The New York Giants statistically had the worst offensive line in the league that last season. This year, per PFF, they are ranked 30th. So not only do you lose the threat of Saquon, Not only do you lose of him not losing yardage when he has a guy in his face, you lose the ability to keep guys honest, right? The one thing that was helpful for Daniel Jones and the New York Giants last season was when the Saquon was started to go off, Saquon started to get his yardage, bring 7, 8, 9 guys into the box. You have single coverage on the outside. You add Saquon with Daniel Jones versus Malik Neighbors. The Giants could have probably been a 10-win team. This season, they would have probably been pretty good. They would have been decent. But Saquon Barkley instantly knocks them back down. Knocks them to a very, very, very bad team. John thinks Daniel Jones is going to throw for 2,800 yards, 13 tutties, and 3 interceptions. Probably about right. Probably about right. Mark D is in the chat. What's up, Mark? We had Mark on last week, guys, talking about the Denver Broncos. He is from the NFL Experts podcast. Be sure to go check them out on Facebook and, of course, YouTube as well. Get those numbers up for them. Give them a like. Give them a subscribe. Whatever you got to do, make it happen. Thank you, Mark, as always, for joining us. But as we talk about the New York Football Giants, we've talked about how Daniel Jones has to have a bounce-back season. We've talked about how Saquon Barkley is a huge loss for them. Let's talk about how hot the seat is for Brian Daboll this season. Brian Daboll is 2 years removed from Coach of the Year. Think about that. In 2022, Brian Daboll was the NFL Coach of the Year. Now we're talking about being on the hot seat. Now we're talking about being a coach that's probably on his way out, no matter what happens. After a 6-11 campaign in 2023, after the fumbling of Saquon Barkley, whether it's him or not, in 2022 they did finish the season 9-7-1 with the playoff win. I get it. But guys, how hot of seat is Brian Daboll in right now? How hot under the collar is Brian Daboll right now? I believe it was James yesterday said that Brian Daboll is probably going to get fired from the New York Giants. Sean McDermott is going to get fired from the Buffalo Bills, and Brian Daboll is going to go back to Buffalo. Guys, the truth of the matter is, if Brian Daboll does not make 8-9 wins this season, shows improvement this season, I think he is out. I think he's out. I think they have to have a winning record, 9 to 10 wins. I said 8, but let me cant that and put 9 or 10. They have to have 9 or 10 wins for him to have a job in 2025 with the New York Football Giants. I'm not saying he is not a good coach. I'm not saying that the New York Giants will ever be a dominant team, like I said in the opening rant. They will never be a 13, 14, 15 win team. Look at the history. The Giants are always just good enough to make it into the playoffs, and then somehow they make a run, right? 2022, they beat the Vikings at Minnesota. After being 9-7-1, I think they had to win the last game of the season to get into the playoffs. It was, but either way, he has to win. He is on the hot seat. Guys, let me know. What do you guys think? What does Brian Daboll have to do this season, 2024 NFL season, to keep his job? To have a job with the New York Football Giants in 2025, what does he have to do this season? John said he's getting sunburnt in that seat. Getting sunburnt. Mark says the Giants dump their coaches every 2 to 3 years. And I guess recently you could say that because Jason Garrett was only there for 3 years, I guess. Brian Daboll, this is his 3rd year. But before that, they had Old Man, in which my wife loves. Forgot his name. What was the coach's name? Going to drive me nuts now. You guys know who I'm referring to. He coached for the Giants for many, many years. Ended up going to the Panthers, I do believe, for a season or two. But he was there for the longest time. So, Mark, to say they dumped the coaches every 2 years, yes, the last few coaches they have, but the previous coach was there for a very long time. Tom Coughlin. Thank you, John. Tom Coughlin. He seemed to be there for a very, very long time. Derek Wilkinson's in the chat. What's up, Derek? He says the Giants have to make the playoffs for Brian Daboll to keep his job. And I think the NFC is going to be very convoluted, very packed around that 11, 10, 9 win thing there. But Derek, I think you are correct. I think 9, 10 wins keeps him his job. But let's say he doesn't get into the playoffs, but he gets the 9 wins. Is his job safe there? I don't know. John's thinking that the Giants go 3-14 this season. We'll definitely be talking about it here very, very shortly. He also thinks they have to go 500 for them to keep the job. 8-1 is a must. Casey Morgan's in the chat. What's up, Casey? He says, I don't think Giants will come close to an Eli Super Bowl caliber for a long, long time. And if you think about this, even when the Giants won the Super Bowl, they had to win like a week 17 game, plus some help to even get into the playoffs. Right? Was it the first year that they beat the New England Patriots, right? They had to beat the Patriots week 17. They ended up playing them in the Super Bowl and beat them again. It just, right? It just, the Giants have never been a dominant team. I understand Giants fans want to say, oh, we're good. Yeah, but you guys have never been dominant. You've never been good. Mark says, I'm talking in recent years. Okay, the last 5 years, they've went through 2 coaches. But before that, Tom Coughlin there was for a very, very long time. John People says the most successful coach in Giants was Bill Parcells. And I challenge with Tom Coughlin with that, to be honest. Because did Bill Parcells ever win them a Super Bowl? So I actually just pulled up the list of... So I am 100% wrong, guys. I am 100% wrong on Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin hasn't coached for the Giants since 2015, and Mark D is spot on. Let me eat some crows. So 2015, Tom Coughlin, I believe, got fired, right? He did win 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants in 2007 and 2011. But then since then, Mark D is spot on. Ben McAdoo, totally forgot about him. 1 season. Steve Spagnuolo, 1 season. He actually came in mid-season of Ben McAdoo's second year because he got fired mid-season, actually. Pat Shurmur, after that, there for 2 seasons. Joe Judge, there for 2 seasons. Brian Daboll, this is his 3rd season. So, Mark, I apologize. I'm eating some crow here now. I must have just blacked out from 2016 to freaking 2020. And old Jason Garrett was never a coach or a head coach there. He was just offensive coordinator. So Mark D is right. In recent memory, the most recent years, 2015 and beyond, the longest tenure for the head coach for the New York Football Giants is Brian Daboll, going on his 3rd season. Ben McAdoo, 1.5 years. Steve Spagnuolo, 6 games, which he went 4-1. Pat Shurmur, I don't even remember Pat Shurmur at all. There for 2 seasons. Joe Judge, 2 seasons, which he has an asterisk by his name, so that means he was probably fired midseason as well. Most successful is Bill Parcells. And John, you are right. Two Super Bowls with them as well. AP Coach of the Year, Pro Football Weekly Coach of the Year, Sporting News Coach of the Year, UPI and NFC Coach of the Year. All in 1986. Great year for the New York Football Giants. James says, I'm here. Daboll gets fired, and he's the head coach of Buffalo Bills next season. Jim, I actually did just say that. Or James, I actually did just say that. I said, yep, you are absolutely right. Casey says this is his last season in New York. We'll see if it's his last season or not. I think we're all kind of in agreement. Brian Daboll, Daniel Jones, and the rest of the New York Giants franchise has to have a winning season for them to keep their jobs. They have to have a playoff berth. They have to have a successful season, not a dominant season, but a successful season. 9-8, 10-7 would be ideal. So let's see if they can do that. Let's see if they can actually do that and win some damn football games. Week number 1. They're starting out at home, taking on a team that is a true wild card in this year. When I say they're a true wild card, we don't know who is going to start quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings right now. Is it going to be J.J. McCarthy? Is it going to be, Sam Darnold? Is it going to be somebody off the street? We don't really know. The Minnesota Vikings have a lot of questions to be answered from now until September 9th. They have a lot of questions that need to be answered. But I think the Minnesota Vikings, no matter who they have at quarterback come week 1, they're too much for the New York Football Giants. The Giants are going to try the run ball with Devin Singletary. The line is going to get embarrassed. And then Daniel Jones is going to be forced to throw the ball 40, 50 times in a game. And we know that is not a recipe for success for Daniel Jones or the New York Giants at all. Every time they throw over 30 times, Daniel Jones loses. I'm just pulling that stat out of my butt. But I think the Vikings win week 1. I think the Vikings are just too powerful. JJ's out to prove that he's worth that money. If Sam Darnold starts, he is playing with the chip on his shoulder all season long. He doesn't want to be a backup quarterback anymore. He's been to Carolina. He's been to San Francisco. He wants a starting job back, and he wants to be the man, the myth, the legend. And I think he shows that week 1. And John thinks different. John thinks the G-Men win week 1. I disagree. Give us a week 2 matchup. A division foe. New York Giants travel to Washington, D.C. to take on rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Speaking of a lot of questions, the Washington Commanders have a lot of questions. That's why I'm very eager to discuss Washington Commanders with Michael Burlew tomorrow, right here on Man Hour at 2:30 East Coast time. We're having him on talking about his Washington Commanders. There's a lot of questions about the Washington Commanders. New ownership, new coach. They've let go some of the studs that were on their roster, right? Chase Young, Marquez Sweat last season. Halfway through the season before the trade deadline, they had let those guys get traded. And I think Jaden Daniels is just going to put this team on his back, and he's going to carry them. I think the Washington Commanders beat the New York Giants week 2, and it's an ugly, ugly game. It might be one of the worst football games we've seen all season long. It's an ugly game. But unfortunately, the Commanders come on top. And John thinks that the G-Men start 2-0 on the season. He's like, it doesn't matter. Give me the Vikings, give me the Cowboys, give me the Commanders. Giants all day, baby. I'm starting 0-2. Week 3 doesn't get any easier. Back on the road. Traveling to Cleveland, Ohio to take on Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. We have spoke about the Cleveland Browns many, many times. I've spoken very, very highly of them every time I speak about them. The defense is good. The receiving core is probably one of the best in the NFL. I'm going to release my top receiving cores probably later this week, Thursday. Deshaun Watson finally looking like a healthy Deshaun Watson. Too much Cleveland Browns, too early in the season, fresh, not injured. Browns probably rout the Giants 7-0. It's just going to be an ugly, ugly game. Starting off the season 0-3. Many people are starting to talk. Brian Daboll, is he going to get fired? Is Daniel Jones the answer? Is Devin Singletary the answer? What do we need to do? Malik Neighbors, bust, right? Something's got to happen. John has Cleveland winning this game 28-10. Give us the week 4 matchup. Thursday night football in New Jersey in MetLife Stadium. The Dallas Cowboys come to town. Last time the Dallas Cowboys came to MetLife Stadium on a Thursday night football game, they played the Jets. They beat the Jets. Not the Giants. I get it, but still MetLife Stadium, and the Dallas Cowboys are very, very good at MetLife Stadium. And guess what? The Dallas Cowboys win this game. The Dallas Cowboys put some respect on their name. They flex on them. Give the Giants an 0-4 start. A rough start to the 2024 campaign. A rough start to the Daniel Jones bounce back season. A rough start to the we must make the playoffs for Brian Daboll keeps the job. Keeps the job. Week number 5. Giants travel out to the West Coast to play Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. Nothing's going right for the New York Giants right now. They look lost. They look flustered. People are talking about Daniel Jones doesn't have it. He should have never got paid. They should have kept Saquon. Devil Singletary, he just doing bad. Malik Neighbors is going to be a bust. It goes on and on and on, nonstop. But week 5 comes along. Week 5 comes along, and the Giants finally put a complete game together. The Giants finally look like a really good football team at this particular point. Let me rephrase. They're not a good football team, but they look like a decent football team. They're putting in long drives. They're having defensive stands. They're having special teams kind of be the spark that they need. Brian Daboll starting to look like a decent coach. Coach of the year 2022. 2024, come my way, baby. I think the Giants lose this game, but it is a very competitive game. The Giants are putting them some offensive points. Their defense is playing well. It's a 21-17 tie type of score. And they put up enough points to win the game, but they just don't quite have it yet, right? Thibodeau finally steps up and has a good game. And the Giants are like, hey, okay, maybe we're not so bad. Yes, we're 0-5, but maybe we're not so bad. Maybe we're not so bad. Let's go back to New York, or New Jersey, I should say, and let's put together a good game versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Week 6, they welcome Joe Burrow and the boys into town, and this game is a shocker to everyone. This game is not only a shocker to everyone, this game is like, what in the world are we witnessing right now? What just happened? What just happened was the New York Football Giants upset the Cincinnati Bengals week 6. Everything is in a line right now. Everything's looking good. They have played 2 good football games back to back. They lost to the Seahawks, but they beat the Cincinnati Bengals. One of the top teams in the AFC. The Bengals are a really good football team. They have a pretty solid defense. Their offense is going to probably struggle a little bit this season, losing Mix and Boyd. Week 6, they're still trying to figure themselves out, but they take the loss to the New York Giants. All of a sudden, Giants fans are starting to, hey, look at us. Look at us. Daniel Jones is looking like an average quarterback. Devin Singletary's running the ball well. Malik Neighbors maybe breaks 100 yards. Defense is playing well. I think they beat the Bengals. John says, no. Slow it down, baby. Cincinnati wins this game. Making the Giants 2-4 on the season. Well, right now I have them at 1-5. Giving us a week 7 matchup. A week 7 matchup that we've all been waiting on, baby. A week 7 matchup when Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles come back to New York and looking for some revenge. This game is not going to even be close. As I do think the Philadelphia Eagles will take a couple steps back this season. This game is not one of the step backs. This game is a game when Saquon Barkley says, hold my beer. Matter of fact, hold my chicken as well. And hold my shoes. Hold whatever you want because I'm going all in for the New York Giants. Saquon Barkley might run untouched for 300 yards in this game. Saquon Barkley's going to run all over that New York Giants defense and want to stick it to the man over and over and over again. This game is not even close. This game is a 35-7, 35-10 score. Saquon Barkley scores 4 times for 180 yards. We could be talking about this game this time next season, and Saquon Barkley still might be rushed on the New York Giants on this game. They're going to give him the ball over and over and over again. And John tends to agree. John says Philly wins this game. Now has them 2-5 on the season. I have them 1-6 right now. Going into the Week 8 matchup versus another AFC North team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Travel to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to take on the Steelers. I believe this is a Monday Night Football game. How did this game get on Monday night? I don't know. But maybe the script says the Giants are supposed to get on a winning streak here. Maybe the script says the Giants are supposed to, win the final 9 games of their season and make a playoff berth. The Giants do bounce back in this game. The Giants do bounce back and put together another complete game. Their 3rd complete game of the season. They still lose this game because the Steelers' defense is just too much to handle. The offense is too much to handle, and Russell Wilson is just good enough. But the Giants play another complete game. They're playing a complete game, but they're still losing. Something's just not clicking for them. 1-7 on the year going into the Week 9 matchup. A Week 9 matchup that they've already played Commanders once this season, Week 2. The Commanders came in and embarrassed them. Not really embarrassed them, it was just an ugly game. But Week 9, the Commanders do embarrass the Giants. The Commanders do walk into MetLife Stadium, into New Jersey, Rutherford, New Jersey, and they embarrass Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. The Commanders might be just as bad as the Giants are at this particular part of the season, but the Commanders stick it to the Giants in this game. It is another ugly, ugly loss for Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. As quickly as that talk about Brian Daboll getting fired, about Daniel Jones getting benched, about how Devin Singletary can't carry the load, it's gotten that much louder. It's gotten that much louder. Now, this game is weird to me. This Week 10 game. This Week 10 game right now is weird to me. Because Week 11, we have a bye week. Right now, the noise in New York is very, very loud. I have them at 2-7 right now. 2-7. A bad New York Giants team gets beat by an even worse Carolina Panthers team week 10. It's bad. It's ugly. Nobody wants to be a part of the organization right now, giving us our bye week 11. We are hearing bench Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll gets fired week 11. I think Brian Daboll gets fired week 11. Having 2 wins on the season with your losses to the Vikings, Commanders, Browns, Cowboys, Seahawks, Eagles, and Steelers, and Panthers. The loss to the Panthers is the one that broke the camel's back. They do have a pretty rough first half of the season playing the Browns and the Cowboys and the Bengals and the Steelers, right? But the straw that broke the camel's back was the loss to the Carolina Panthers because it's just an embarrassing loss. Brian Daboll gets fired. Daniel Jones gets benched. Insert new coach, whoever it is, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. It doesn't matter. They changed everything. New quarterback, new head coach, new life, right? No. Same song, different verse. Week 12, Tampa Bay Buccaneers come into town to take on the Giants, and it's just another embarrassing loss. The Buccaneers come into New Jersey and beat down the Giants. The Giants cannot just get out of their own way at the particular point. Week 13, travel to Dallas. Second game for the new head coach. Second game for Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito, whoever the quarterback is. Name it, somebody. It doesn't matter. Dallas Cowboys, too much for them. 2 straight losses for the new coach. Hell, let's just make it 3. Derek Carr and the Saints come into like town. The Giants are just rough shape right now. The Giants are even trying to lose, and they can't even do that right? They're just a bad team right now. Saints come into town and win. James thinks the Bucs will beat the Giants. Of course they will. Baker Mayfield's the man, the myth, the legend. Week 15, though. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens come into town to take on Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants. This game kind of has me intrigued a little bit. This game has me intrigued because this is the part of the season where the Las Vegas Raiders last season got hot. Fired coach mid-season, insert AP, gets embarrassed his first 2-3 games as a intern NFL coach. Last 4 games of the season, they get hot. Win 3 of the last 4. Giants don't do that. The Giants don't do that. This is a closer game. 21-10, 28-10. But the simple fact of the matter is what James says. Ravens can look past the Giants. The Ravens can play their backups, and they're still going to beat the Giants, unfortunately. James thinks the Giants will win this game. I think opposite. Week 16. 2 wins on the season. Basically have to lose out to get the number 1 overall seed. They're trying to lose at this point. They're trying to basically get blown out. They're trying to save some face of the season. Like, hey, at least we got the first overall draft pick. And the trend continues. They travel to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins and the boys beats them down. Another loss. Week 17, Colts come into town. Guess what? That's another loss. Week 18, going to Philadelphia. This is going to be a 1:00 game. Nobody's going to watch it. They're going to battle 9-8, 9-7 type of score. They're trying to lose, and they can't even try to lose right because their defense is playing good, but the offense just sucks. But they lose this game, ultimately giving them a 2-15 record on the season. I think the New York Football Giants this year will go 2-15. 2-15. They fire Brian Daboll week 11, which is the bye week. Daniel Jones gets benched week 11, which is the bye week. Devin Singletary probably does not finish out the season as the starting running back. Look at whoever the backup is, or potentially picking up like Dalvin Cook or somebody off of the street. The Giants are just going to be a bad team this season. And ultimately because of karma. The karma of basically playing chicken with Saquon Barkley. And I think somebody asked if I watched the Hard Knocks. I saw the preview of them talking about who was going to offer Saquon any more money than like us, yada. I think that ultimately comes back and bites him in the ass. I think ultimately Devin Singletary isn't able to carry the load. Tyron Tracy Jr., which is their 5th round draft pick. He can't carry the load. Eric Gray, don't even know who that is. Probably can't carry the load. He's a 5th round from last season from Oklahoma. No disrespect to Eric Gray, but I don't know who you are. The Giants are going to look to pull up Cook off the street, maybe make a trade for some other running. The Giants are going to be so messed up all season long, they don't know what to do. Giants are a bad team, and I don't know how much more clear I can make that. Don't know how much more clear I can make, like, how bad the Giants are going to be. We talked about bad teams so far. We've talked about the Patriots. They at least get six wins this season. We talked about the Broncos. They still get 5 wins. We've talked about the Raiders. I still think they get 4 wins. All pretty bad teams, lower tier 3 teams of the NFL. The Giants are by far the worst team in the NFL. The Giants are by far a 2-win team, might be gracious for them. They might go 0-17. But that's just one man's opinions on the NFL Man Hour Talk, guys. We are live every Monday through Friday, 2:30 East Coast time, right here at Facebook.com, of course, YouTube.com. Tomorrow we'll be talking the Washington Commanders, another bad football team. Says your ass, they're tier 3, says John, meaning the Raiders. Raiders might be tier 4. But we out.
And now, Mike's thoughts.
As we dive into the world of the NFL, even deeper as we dive into the NFC East edition of our breakdown, of our daily breakdowns of all NFL teams, we dive into the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I have had a narrative, I guess you can say, about Jalen Hurts over the last couple seasons. I thought he had a spectacular second season or third season once A.J. Brown came in. Boom, to the moon, baby, right? And then during our Pigskin Pundit pre-show, I was like, you know what? I may or may not dog Jalen Hurts all show long. I may or may not do that. I started looking at his stats, and guys, I am wrong about Jalen Hurts. I am 100% wrong about Jalen Hurts. He has improved each and every season stat-wise since his rookie year. He has quietly become a really, really solid quarterback. Now, obviously, he got paid, many want to say too early. I said too early. Many people said, hey, you are basing it off of one Super Bowl berth and one season, yada, yada, yada. The previous 2 seasons, he sucked. Yeah, I said that. And now looking at his stats from last year, the previous year, the year he got paid, like, maybe, just maybe, he isn't so bad. Maybe, just maybe, Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. Maybe, just maybe, he can slide into the top 5. Guys, give me a valid reason of why Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Give me a valid reason why we cannot put him maybe itching into the top 5 with your Dak Prescotts, with your Patrick Mahomes and Jared Goff and Josh Allen's. Stat-wise, he is a really, really good quarterback. And I am eating crow with Jalen Hurts right now. I thought he was just a above-average guy at best. He puts up top 5, top 10 stats year after year after year. Let's give the man credit where credit is due. And I got to do that. Give the man some credit. But first, we got to cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Yeah, hey, let's go. Hitting that gridiron, we going hard, we running the plays. You know the vibe, only the strong survive. Gotta keep your head in the game. Talking NFL, uncut, straight raw. Steady bringing that sauce. We about to take off. Get it hype, this man, our sport talk. Yeah, yeah, from the quarterback to the lineman. Everybody bringing heat. You don't really want to try them. Hey, hey, who gon' win? It's a battle of the giants. This show is the flyest. Nobody can deny it. This is Man Hour. Man Hour, Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? This is Man Hour, Sport Talk. Man Hour, Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? Let's go.
Let's go. What is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckeye, of the Man Hour, of manhourradio.com. Check out the blog section. Check out the merchandise section. But most importantly, right now, guys, we are pushing those forms. We started them last March, kind of feeling it out, kind of seeing what the popularity might be of that forums. And right now, we are live, raw, uncut over there on the forums. If you guys are tired of getting banned from Facebook, like I am, are you tired of getting censored by the man, like I am? Head over to the forums. The only censorship that's over there is me. And I got some thick-ass skin, so if you can get underneath my skin, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. But, guys, we are continuing our NFC East Breakdown. We've done the Dallas Cowboys. We've done the New York Football Giants. And today, we're doing the Philadelphia Eagles. I know. We were going to talk about the Commanders. I had Michael plan to join me last night. Some stuff came up, a.k.a. The hurricane was supposed to destroy our area. We're supposed to get tons and tons of tornadoes. So I'm like, you know what, Michael? Let's move it to tomorrow. And of course, it was sunny and beautiful outside all night long. But whatever. Today's the Philadelphia Eagles Breakdown. Guys, this is a live, raw, uncut, interactive show. So I see all the comments. So talk your shit in the comments below. But be willing to back yourself up, because I am on one today. I am on one. I am on a roll. But speaking of joining the chat here, it says John is in the chat. He's a top fan. He says, finally getting to catch one of these lives. What's up, brother? What's up, John? Thank you for joining us today. I'm glad you are here on this live. Hopefully you have a good time, John. We like to see you here every Monday through Friday at 2:30 East Coast time. We have a damn good time. Speaking of a good time, a top fan plus a subscriber, the CFO of the Pigskin Pundits, Mr. Jim Powell, he says, what up? What's up? Let's flash it back to 1997 there real quick. What's up? All right, guys, we do got a great story for you lined up today. Of course, we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. We are going to talk about my projection of them of the 2024 NFL season, but we have to start talking about the past before we can start to talk about the present and the future with the Philadelphia Eagles. Last season, guys, the Philadelphia Eagles started off hot. They were a damn good team. They were on top of the NFL. People were talking Super Bowl for them. Super Bowl. Going into week 12, they were 10-1 with wins over the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Vikings, the Rams, right? All playoff caliber teams. They were wiping the floor with them, but then they go into Santa Clara, or actually they welcome the San Francisco 49ers into Philadelphia, and they got waxed. And that was the beginning of the end of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're sitting at 10-1 going into week 13. All they had to win two more games. Basically, it was a lock for the playoffs at that particular point. Second place, second seed, right? Of course, they were a playoff team, but they lost to the 49ers. They lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the Seahawks. Lost to the Cardinals. Lost to the Giants again. The wheels fell off from week 13 on. They only won one of their final 6 games, and it was a struggle. It was just like a car crash. Like you just kept looking, you could not look away, and the wheels fell off over and over and over again. No matter what they did, they could not get out of their own way, and it basically led to Jason Kelce's retirement. Like, the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason lost a huge part of their team, their centerpiece of their offensive line, Jason Kelce, to retirement. They also lost DeAndre Swift. He is now a Chicago Bear, right? And of course, they did add Saquon Barkley this offseason as well. And I think they drafted really, really well. They drafted 2 cornerbacks on round 1 and round 2. Cooper DeJean is a first-round talent they got early in the second round. Hunt, the edge rusher from Houston Christian, is going to be a huge addition to their defense as is. I think the defense is going to step up a little bit this season. I think they're going to have a nice defensive team, but the offense is a huge, huge question mark, right? Of course, you did add Saquon, but losing the centerpiece like Jason Kelce is going to be huge for them. And John says, right off the bat, Eagles look like crows without Jason Kelce. Eagles look like crows without Jason Kelce. And that is my first way or no way of the day. The first way or no way of the day is going to go toward the offseason, to the 2023, going into 2024. Jason Kelce obviously decided to retire from the NFL. Step away. He had a great NFL career. Let's just be flat out honest. He had a really, really good NFL career. Made a lot of money, won a lot of games. But we got to ask the question, is Jason Kelce replaceable? Is a person like Jason Kelce replaceable? And I got to thinking, I'm just like, he is just a center, right? Granted, they did draft a center a couple years ago in Cam Jurgens from the University of Nebraska. He has been learning behind Jason Kelce the last couple seasons. We all knew, like we all know, linemen's careers in the NFL don't last 15, 16 years. It's about 10 years max, right? So we all knew this was coming, and obviously Jason Kelce probably knew it was coming. Cam Jurgens probably knew it was coming, and he was trying to soak up all the information that he can. But like John just said right here, the 1 yard tush push is out the window. And honestly, I think that was the biggest play in the Philadelphia Eagles playbook. When you watch the Philadelphia Eagles play last season, there were a lot of times when the defense would be demoralized, right? They would get them out, first, second, third down, hold them down to fourth down, 4th and 2, 4th and 3 even, right? Eagles like, nope, we're just going to do the tush push and get a first down. That was demoralizing to a defense. We've seen other NFL teams try to mimic this without, basically failing. Houston Texans, right, lost Tank Dell for the season with a broken leg. So is Jason Kelce replaceable? And right now, I have to say no. Granted, we still have preseason games to come. We can see what Cam Jurgens can do with the Philadelphia Eagles this season once the preseason starts. Week 2 of the preseason was like August 9th through the 15th. I think that is when we're going to really see how good or how bad the Philadelphia Eagles can be this season. I think they have a really high ceiling, but they also have a really low floor. What does that mean? Meaning they could win 13, 14, 15 games. They have the team. They have the defense to do that. At the same time, they have the team that can lose a lot of games. They have a team that can only win 2, 3, 4 games. There's a big, big gap there. And unfortunately, the replacement of Jason Kelce is going to be key. So guys, let me ask you this question. Can Jason Kelce be replaced? And if I have to go with my gut feeling, the answer to that question is no. Why do I say that? Because we've seen teams try to emulate what he does on the field. We've seen teams try to do what the Philadelphia Eagles do on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and no other team can emulate that. And it all started up front with Jason Kelce. Yes, Jalen Hurts can squat like 600 pounds and push that pile. I get it. But at the same time, it is up front. It is key. John says Mitchell was a big addition to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I can't answer that question yet. The reason why I can't answer that question yet, because I don't know if what's his name? Quinyon Mitchell, I think it is. I don't know if he is going to be able to fit into that linebacker, jackbacker, money backer scheme that the Eagles normally run, right? They have a guy that walks up. I don't know. We'll see how he fits, week 1, week 2. In OTAs, he seems to be playing, decent. Fundamentals are there. Looking good. John says Barkley and Hurts, they win the division. We'll be talking about that here very, very, very soon. Very, very soon. And John says, just from the taste, I believe he fits well into the system, as in Quinion Mitchell. I mean, honestly, a cornerback, man-to-man up on the outside, a good cornerback is going to fit in any good system, right? But his ability to stop the run and maybe adjust to something else, because I still like James Bradbury, right? James Bradbury might start over Mitchell. Well, let's just be honest. I think you have to have Mitchell on the field, whether it's to replace Reed Blankenship, whether it be a nickel guy. Something's going to happen. Something is going to happen. Got Mark D in the chat as well. What's up, Mark? Hope you're having a good day. And John says, that's the cool thing about what you think. It doesn't count. The Eagles got better. The Eagles did get better, potentially. Adding Saquon was a good mix, a good addition for any team, right? I watched the first episode of Hard Knocks last night, and the Giants were definitely devaluing Saquon Barkley. They're like, who was going to pay him $20 million? He's not worth it. He's a year older than this, and this, whatever. Like, I get it. But think about this. Last season, when the Philadelphia Eagles were on their winning streak, when they were winning a lot of games, the previous week they lost to the New York Jets with just a fluke loss, a 20-14 loss at New York. The following week, they're back at home playing Miami. Absolutely dominating the Miami Dolphins on both sides of the ball. The Miami Dolphins don't know what hurt them at this particular point. I believe it's third quarter going into fourth quarter. The Eagles are up about 17 to 20 points. A.J. Brown really hadn't been getting the ball too much that particular game. I think he had like maybe 3 targets on 1 catch. Mind you, they're up by 20 points at this particular point, beating down a really, really good Miami Dolphins team. He's sitting there yelling, ranting and raving, I want the ball, I want the ball, I want the ball. He started to get the ball. He started to get the ball a lot, right? But then Jalen Hurts started to force A.J. Brown the ball. He wanted to keep A.J. Brown happy. Started to force him the ball. That was the beginning of the end of the Philadelphia Eagles when Jalen Hurts started to force A.J. Brown the ball. With that being said, A.J. Brown might be the downfall for the Philadelphia Eagles this season. Yes, we love us and Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley with the defense offensive line is going to get 100 yards every game. As long as he gets the ball 15, 16, 18 times a game, he's going to get you 80 to 100 yards. No question about it. He's a downhill runner and he falls forward a lot. But when you do that, you take away the ball from Devontae Smith. He wants the ball, right? He's not as vocal about it, but of course he wants the ball. A.J. Brown clearly wants the ball. Jalen Hurts obviously wants to throw the ball. Kenneth Gainwell wants to touch the ball. Dallas Goedert probably wants to catch the ball as well. Paris Campbell, fresh over for the Colts, right? Wants to touch the ball. There's only one ball to go around. A.J. Brown wants his 10 catches a game. Saquon Barkley wants his 20 catches a game. Devontae Smith wants his 15 targets. Paris Campbell, hopefully he can get 5 targets. Do you guys think the addition of Saquon Barkley might ultimately be the downfall of the Philadelphia Eagles? That is a question that we got to propose. Because obviously Saquon Barkley is like Derrick Henry. Gets better the more time he gets the ball. When he's able to wear down the defense and get his legs under him and start to run the ball well, he succeeds and he does well. Same thing with AJ Brown. You get him involved early in the game. He is going to end up, demanding the ball all game long, and he's going to succeed. He is going to get his 120, 150 yards, right? Devontae Smith, he quietly always catches his balls and just does his work. So we got to ask the question, are the Eagles in trouble this season by only having one ball? Christopher Woody is in the chat. He says, we'll be fine. He says, slow it down, baby. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. You will be fine once winning happens. Winning cures all, right? Unless you're AJ Brown and you're not getting the ball still. But usually winning quiets the critics, quiets Saquon, quiets Devontae Smith, quiets Jalen Hurts, quiets them. But what happens when you lose 2 games in a row? What happens if you lose 3 out of 4? Naysayers get louder. Stuff gets to get louder. People demand the ball gets a little bit louder. James Chamberlain's in the chat. He says, I hope he doesn't, but Saquon will probably get hurt getting overfed behind that makeshift offensive line. Saquon Barkley has been injury prone in his time in New York. However, maybe sometimes different trainer, different food, different water, sometimes heals those nagging injuries. Let's take Christian McCaffrey into effect. When he was in Carolina, right, in Charlotte, North Carolina, he could never get healthy. He could never play more than like 5-6 games in a row. Sprained ankle, sore hammy, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He goes to San Francisco. Has he missed a game yet? I think maybe he missed 1 game. I mean, honestly, and I don't think that game mattered, right? They actually sat him out. They said if the game was needed, he would have played. So maybe that's what Saquon needed, is a new scenery, new trainer, some better taste in water. But we will see. We'll see, especially if it gets hurt early. Hopefully Saquon does not get hurt. We don't ever wish injury on anybody, but we do have to take it into consideration. He does have a history of getting hurt, right? John People says this also takes pressure off the passing game. It only takes the pressure off the passing game if Saquon is consistently fed the ball, right? If it is a one-off, one every 6 plays, does it really take pressure off? And one every 6 plays, Saquon doesn't get his feet under him, doesn't start running downhill. It's a double-edged sword. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? If you feed Saquon to take pressure off the passing game, then all of a sudden you got AJ Brown mad, right? You feed the passing game to open up the running game. Some people do that. Saquon isn't quite as effective. Now, I could be 100% wrong. I could be barking up the wrong tree. But that's how I feel. I think somebody in the end is going to get pissed off, and it's going to end not well. Warren Evans is in the chat. What's up, Warren? He is a 1-year anniversary follower. I think that's what that means, right? Yep, anniversary follower for 1 year. Thank you for following us for a year, Evan. Or Warren, I definitely appreciate it. He says, nah, man, you got it wrong. A.J. Brown wasn't crying for the ball. Everyone was complaining about the offensive scheme. The downfall was the lack of the involvement under the terrible offensive coordinator. That's why Kellen Moore is there now. Now, I do agree that last year you guys had a lot of turnover, new OC, new defensive coordinator, right? Everything was rosy the first, 12 games of the season. Wheels started to fall off and nobody knew how to fix it. And I'm not for sure where Kellen Moore and good offensive coordinator kind of mix up. There's a reason why Kellen Moore is on his 3rd team in 3 years. Don't shoot the messenger. Facts are facts. Kellen Moore got fired from the Dallas Cowboys. Not even 30 minutes later, he was picked up from the Chargers. A year later, he's fired from the Chargers, and now he's with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a reason why he's on his third team in 3 years. Not because of the coaching changes, which, that has something to do with it. Jim Harbaugh wanted to bring in his guys. I get it. But the Chargers offense sucked last year. The Dallas Cowboys offense was meh, right? Granted, they did win 12 years his last year there, but he had Zeke at center, which was why, right? I wouldn't put too much faith in Kellen Moore. Warren, I'm not for sure if you are an Eagles fan or who you are a fan of, but if I am banking my season off of Kellen Moore, I'm not going to. If you guys remember, what was it, 2019, 2018 maybe? Kellen Moore was the talk of the town. Kellen Moore was the next greatest offensive or the next greatest head coach out there, right? He got passed over. There's a reason for that. Third team in 3 years. Same thing with Eric Bieniemy. There's a reason why he keeps getting passed over on offensive or on head coaching opportunities. Maybe they're just not that good. Maybe Kellen Moore was carried by Dak Prescott. Maybe Kellen Moore just doesn't have the X's and O's. I mean, he's obviously a smart individual. He had a great college career at Boise State, right? Maybe he just isn't that good. Christopher Woody says, Philadelphia Eagles don't stay with run no matter how good we run it the last 4 seasons, proven it. Is that a Nick Sirianni thing or is that an offensive scheme thing? Because to be honest, when you look at the depth chart, we have Kenneth Gainwell and Saquon Barkley. You have a great 1-2 punch at running back. You have a great 1-2-1 punch at running back, and I would stick with the run a lot. John says Hurt will be more mobile due to the old line avoiding sacks. Do you guys really think that Jason Kelce is going to really make it from a top 5 offensive line to a 20th ranked offensive line? I mean, granted, I know he's a big part, and I know he was a leader in kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like the ringleader of the gruntness, right? But watching OTAs, watching minicamp film, the offensive line still kind of has that tenacity about him, kind of the F with us and find out. I don't know. Learn how to catch a dump pass. I'm not for sure what you're talking about, John, but okay. Warren says Moore was a scapegoat in Dallas, and you know that. Kellen Moore was kind of a scapegoat per se, right? Because people were not willing to admit that Dan Quinn was actually the issue in Dallas. Yes, Dan Quinn had a great defense. Yes, Dan Quinn did turn that defense around. Can't win big games. We can talk more about this on Friday. I will write this down. We will talk about that. Christopher says, not that they didn't know how, just couldn't at the time of the end of the season, how to fix it. No, so basically what Christopher is saying is when the Philadelphia Eagles went on their 6-game losing streak or losing 5 out of their last 6, they knew how to fix it. They just couldn't. Well, if you know how to fix it, then you would be able to fix it. Just because you think you know how to fix something and that isn't fixing it, and you keep reverting back to what you think will do it, it still doesn't fix it, that's not fixing the issue. You still have the issue. The issue is that they could not get out of their way. The offense sucked. The defense sucked. The team was kind of at each other's throats, and Nick Sirianni was not taking the fall. Nick Sirianni was not stepping up and being a head coach. Nick Sirianni didn't know how to handle adversity, and that's my next topic. Is Nick Sirianni in a must-win now situation? Yes, he did go to the Super Bowl. Yes, they did win, 11 games last season. But from week 13 on, the worst team in the NFL, let's just be flat out honest, the worst team in the NFL. As you said, Christopher, They knew how to fix it. I'm using air quotes there for the people that are listening to us on the radio at Big X Sports Radio. They knew how to fix it, but how they knew how to fix it wasn't fixing the issue. Let me ask this question, guys. Is Nick Sirianni in a must-win now situation? Meaning, do they have to make a playoffs and win the playoffs this season? Do they have to win the division? Do they have to win a wild card or divisional round game, one playoff game? Are they in a must-win now situation in Philadelphia for Nick Sirianni to keep his job? The hardest part about this is that the Philadelphia Eagles, when any team in the NFL or any team in general, high school, college, hell, pee-wee football, if you as a coach and your organization is successful, there's going to be less successful organizations looking to poach your coaches, looking to poach your players, right? Obviously, last season, 2 seasons ago now, right? The Philadelphia Eagles lost their offensive coordinator, which went to the Colts, right? And their defensive coordinator went to the Arizona Cardinals. Very good, seems to be head coaching candidates, right? I think the Colts head coach is, I can't think of his name right now, is a really, really good fit. He definitely has the Colts heading in the right direction. Nick Sirianni brought in a couple coordinators that didn't quite fit his mold. They're out of town. This year, he brings in Kellen Moore. Brings in another defensive coordinator. I don't know his name. But at what point are the coordinators no longer the fall guys? At what point does head coach Nick Sirianni have to take the fall? Captain has to fall on a sword, down with the chip. Whatever you want to say. And I think this year is the year. I think this year is the year that Nick Sirianni has to put up or shut up. I'm not saying they have to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they have to win the Super Bowl. I'm saying they have to go to the playoffs. They have to win a playoff game. They cannot have an end of the season like they did last season. Guys, Nick Sirianni is a must-win now situation. He's on the hot seat. When I released my hot seat 6 coaches, two weeks ago, Nick Sirianni was number 3 on the list. He is on the hot seat. James says, and good luck with Vangino at DC. He had more talent on the defensive side of the ball in Miami last year, and he did his best to destroy it. Miami Dolphins also had like 7 defensive ends, edge rushers in 3 games. So Vangino has an opportunity to do better, I guess. I don't know. Emery is in the chat. What's up? He says, go Birds. I see, I spy a, looks like Jalen Hurts jersey there. So welcome to the live. Hope you're having a grand time. Be sure to subscribe and like the show with a couple friends as well. John Pebbles says, Buck is on half into nylons. What? What are you even talking about? I mean, who doesn't like a good panio over their face? John said, yes, he is in a must win with all the talent on paper. If he flops this year, he is out. So, John, once again, thank you for being a top fan here at Man Hour at facebook.com/man hour. What is considered a flop? Is missing the playoffs considered a flop? Is a losing season considered a flop? Or is losing 5 out of your 6 games considered a flop? Like, I think we got to add a little caveats into things here, just because, like, let's say if the Eagles do finish 8-9 this season and miss the playoffs and is 3rd in the division. Let's just put that out there. Let's just say he finishes 8-9, 3rd in the division, but they are competitive in every game. It is a 1-score game. It's a 2-score game, but they are competitive in every game. Is that considered a flop? Or are we strictly looking at the records? Like, hey, sorry, man, losing season, lost 5 out of your last 6 in 2023. It's time, right? It's time. James says, Eagle is one of those teams that the head coach is always on the hot seat. This is correct. Didn't Andy Reid lead them to like 4 straight NFC championship games, and like the following season, did he miss the playoffs? And he's like he is out. Like, I think he was on the market for like 20 minutes. The Chiefs called him, said, "Hey, we got Jack in the Box," and he was on a flight to Kansas City, and the rest is history. Maybe the Eagles just need to slow it down, baby. Maybe the Eagles just need to be like, you know what? Let's give the man a shot. John says if they miss the playoffs, he's gone for sure. They lose in the playoffs, he's probably still out. Make it to the playoffs and lose, you're gone, man, says John. He's gone. James says Andy Reid took him to 4 straight NFC championship games and got fired. Facts. Facts. And I think they went to what one Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb, and Terrell Owens had a broken leg all playoffs and finally came back, and they did really well. They did really well. But this season, guys, I think Nick Sirianni is on the hot seat. I think the offense is going to be a little bit in trouble because there's only one ball to go around, and the loss of Jason Kelce is going to come back and haunt them. But will they have a winning season? Let's talk about it. Week number 1. They open up against the Green Bay Packers. Not a home game as it is listed, but they are playing in Brazil. This game, this game's weird to me, right? Because I guess in Brazil, you cannot wear green, and both teams are green going into Brazil. Nonetheless, neutral site game. Packers versus Eagles. Packers coming off a phenomenal last season, kind of came out of nowhere. Eagles obviously coming off a very struggling end of the season. Weird off season. And I think it kind of carries over into the first game of the season. I think the Packers win this game. I think the Packers are just a better team all the way around. Jordan Love is playing for a huge contract. He's playing for that, $65 million deal right now. He wants to get paid, and he's going to ball all season long. And I do think the Packers come out on top. And I have to agree with James right here off the bat. He says, boo international games. I hate them. I hate the international games as well. I think they're absolutely stupid. But when I said that, I said, you're being selfish. You're not worried about the fans in Mexico and Brazil and the UK. It's American sport. Deal with it. But I do think the Eagles start the season off 0-1. Week 2, they are at home. First home game of the season. They welcome in Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. And I do think they win this game. I think they find a solid 1-2 punch with A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, right? It's a nice balanced attack. 30 pass plays, 30 run plays, 50-50. And I think they're just a steady toast of stop us if you can. Oh, you can't? Oh, let me do this. Let me hand the ball off. Let me do this. I think the Eagles are going to do whatever they want in this game. And this is going to really excite a lot of their fans. But unfortunately, that excitement does not hold for very long. They do beat the Falcons, and they beat them good, 28-14, 28-17. But week 3, they're back on the road. They've flown to South America, into Brazil, flown back to Philly to play a Monday night game. Now they're back flying to New Orleans to play in Caesar Sports Dome, or whatever the hell it is called. They've been doing a lot of traveling this first 3-4 weeks of the season, and it finally catches up to them. Flying to Brazil, flying back to Philly, flying to New Orleans. They are kind of tired in this game. Yes, I know it's only week 3. I know it's early, but I think they lose to the Saints this particular game. I think they lose to the Saints, and it is just a bad loss. Nothing really looks right. Nothing really clicks, and they start the season off 1-2. Start off the season 1-2. Week 4. Back on the road. This time, traveling to Tampa to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We talked about how tired they were the previous game. this kind of carries over into week 4. Week 4, they're looking a little sluggish. They're looking tired. We're like, man, they just can't do nothing right. I think the defense kind of gets walked over on this, on this particular game as well. None of the front seven looks good, and I think they just get ran all over. And going into the bye week, it's a big relief. It's a big relief at this particular point. I think James is right. Baker Mayfield going to sweep the NFC East. Would not surprise me one bit. Would not surprise me one bit. But week 5, a very welcomed bye week at this particular point. They've been traveling a lot. They've really been traveling a lot. Traveling to Brazil, back to Philly, to New Orleans, to Tampa. They need this bye week. I do not like week 4, 5, 6 bye weeks. I absolutely hate them. If I was playing a 17-game season, I had a week 5 bye week, I'm like, really? Might as well not even get us a bye week at all. But week 5 for the Eagles at this particular time is very, very warranted. Warren says Buck is really showing his Dallas bias right now. We'll see. We'll see how much I am biased about the Dallas Cowboys. But week 5, very welcomed bye week. Give us a week 6 matchup. Back at home, finally, nice and rejuvenated, and they welcome a very, very good Cleveland Browns team into town. A Cleveland Browns team with Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, and Myles Garrett. The Browns are going to be a really, really good team, guys. Do not get it twisted. However, the Philadelphia Eagles come out on top of this game. The Philadelphia Eagles are a well-rested team. They've heard all the noise. Oh, you got to start off 1-3. You guys might as well fire your head coach now. You can't fix this wrong anymore. They block out all the noise. Jason Kelce comes give him a rah-rah speech right before the game, and they go out, and I think they dominate the Browns. I think they are better than the Browns from top to bottom, and they dominate them. And it carries over to week 7 when they travel to New Jersey to MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Football Giants. We said it yesterday. I think Saquon Barkley is going to run all over the Giants. The Giants could put 15 guys in the box, and Saquon's still going to get $150. Saquon is not going to be stopped versus the New York Giants, especially after that Hard Knocks episode. Thanks, Mark, for letting me know that it was out. Saquon's pissed. Eagles are back on track right now, guys. They've won 2 since the bye week. They're back to 500. They're 3-3 on the season. James says, yep, rested and fired off. Coming off that bye week, they're going to kill the Browns. Yeah. Then we got a week 8 game. This game has so many question marks in my head. On paper, I think the Bengals are a decent team. They have a above average defense. Their offense, obviously, with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, right? Now adding Zach Moss into the mix, could potentially be a really, really good team. Eagles right now are clicking in this game. But we saw it last season around midpoint here, week 6, 7, 8. History says the Eagles always seem to shit the bed one of these games. One of these games, they always seem to shit the bed, and I do think they shit the bed versus the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow has a pretty decent game. I think Zach Moss has a pretty decent game. Jamar Chase probably has another 5 touchdown performance like he did against the Chiefs, my Kansas City Chiefs, a couple years ago. Hell, I think the guy just caught another freaking touchdown pass on us. Couldn't be stopped. I think the Bengals step up in this game, and they kind of knock the Eagles back down a little bit and say, hey, just because you guys dominated the Browns, dominated the Giants, slow it down, baby. We're still the kings of the AFC. Go back to your NFC and worry about them. But they can't, because the Eagles play another AFC team week 9. Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence coming to town. Jacksonville Jaguars, when we look at the Jacksonville Jaguars guys, and I've been breaking them down, watching film, I think they're a bad team. I don't like the contract that Trevor Lawrence signed, although Wayne G loves it. Of course, Wayne G is the biggest Trevor Lawrence fan I've ever met in my whole entire life. I think the Jaguars are a bad, bad team. And I think the Eagles expose the Jaguars in this game. The Eagles win this game, now winning 3 of their last 4, with wins over the Browns, the Giants, and now the Jaguars. Now, this is the part of the season where things can go one way or the other. Well, when we talked earlier, when they have a really high ceiling but a really low floor, right now they're 4-4. Right now they're 4-4 and going into a very gauntlet part of their season, right? And it starts with week 10. Week 10, they travel to Dallas to take on Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. History shows, I don't think in the last, Warren and all those guys out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but there hasn't been a repeat NFC East champion in like 10 years or something like that, right? Every year they seem to be going back and forth between the Commanders, Eagles, and the Dallas Cowboys. They just keep rotating it through. I do think the Dallas Cowboys win this game. We talked about it on Monday. I think it's a close game. I think it's a really, really challenging game on both ends. Right? Both teams are probably struggling at this point and really need this win to really right the ship. And I think the Eagles battle 20-17, but they ultimately fall short to Zeke Elliott, Dak Prescott, and the boys in Dallas. Giving us a week 11 matchup versus the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, comes into town. Jaden, the more I watch the Commanders, like mini camp and OTAs and practices and whatnot, I'm actually a little bit excited about the Commander season. I am a little bit excited, like, hey, maybe they can, be one of those dark horses like the Giants did back in 2021 and kind of sneak into the playoffs there, right? And potentially could win a playoff game. I'm not saying they will. Slow it down, baby. But I'm saying they look like a team that could shock a lot of people. They're not going to shock the Eagles. They're not going to shock the Eagles. The Eagles are kind of... It is nut crunch time. It is nut crunch time, and it's time to either put up or shut up. Are we going to get that high ceiling, or are we going to be that low floor? Let's get it back up to 500. Let's figure ourselves out, and let's make a playoff push. If you guys remember, right now the Dallas Cowboys are kind of struggling as well. Obviously, the Giants are kind of way out of it, and we're breaking down the Commanders tomorrow. So we'll see how the playoffs are looking at this particular point. Week 12, travel to LA to take on a Rams team. A Rams team that is a true wild card. A Rams team that, talk about high ceiling and low floors, Rams have that. We'll see how big of loss it is for Aaron Donald for them coming up when we break them down in 3 weeks. We'll be talking about them, but I do think the Rams are too much at home versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles have a lot of flight time. Traveling to Brazil, traveling to Tampa, New Orleans, now LA, Cincinnati. A lot of flight time. I think they lose this game. I think this is a part of a 2-game skid, a 2-game road here where people are thinking flashback from 2023 right now. We are thinking, oh shit, what is going on? Because they're going to lose to King Henry and the Baltimore Ravens week 13 as well. Losing 2 games in a row. Losing 3 of their last 4 at this particular point. But they're still in the playoff hunt. They are still in pace to potentially win the NFC East. All they got to do is win the next 5 games. All they got to do is win for their last 5, maybe. They just need to put on a little bit of streak. Put a little bit of streak together, right? And the schedule gets a little bit easier. Week 14, playing the Carolina Panthers. Arguably one of the worst rosters in the NFL are the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, kind of been running for his life. second year in the NFL, second head coach. Really don't have a number one receiver. You can say Adam Thielen's it, but he's like 36 years old. Is he it? The Eagles waxed the floor with the Carolina Panthers. You guys are, Panthers are just no good, and the Eagles are finally saying, hey, let's buckle down. Let's face it. There's a big bee in here. Oh my God, the thing's huge. Sorry. I'm allergic to bees. The Eagles win this game. Mike's in the chat. What's up, Mike? He says, you guys are all in this era for energy for nothing. Three-peat loading. We'll see about that three-peat. Week 15, Pittsburgh Steelers come into town. The PA rival. What's that interstate between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh? I don't know. We'll call it 69. I don't know what highway it is. But it doesn't matter because the Steelers are going to ride that bumpy-ass road back to Pittsburgh with a loss. Eagles are looking good. Eagles have won two in a row. Won 3 of their last 5. Lost to a good Rams team and a good Ravens team. Things are looking up. Things are looking positive. Looking forward to that Dallas Cowboys game coming up. Week 17. Looking forward to win the division. People are talking about it. It's getting tight. But guess what? They have a Week 16 at Washington. And they overlooked this game. They needed to win 5 games in a row to have a shot at the playoffs, or at least 4 of their last 5. And they dropped this game versus the Commanders. They're overlooking the Commanders in this particular point. Granted, we talked about the Commanders that could be a surprise, right? And they're going to shock the world by beating the Philadelphia Eagles in this game. The Eagles have been playing good football to this point. Beating down the Panthers, beating down the Steelers, overlooking the Commanders to the Cowboys game. They ultimately lose this game. Week 17, though. They're in must-win situations right now. Right now, I have them sitting at 7 wins. Sitting at 7-8 on the season. We talked about this earlier. Nick Sirianni has to have a winning season, has to make the playoffs to keep the job, right? We talked about one ball. A.J. Brown's mad. We're losing season, whatever, right? All that noise gets blocked out when the Dallas Cowboys come into town. This arguably is the biggest rivalry in the NFL. It's even bigger when the Cowboys come to Philly. It's still a good game when Philly come to Dallas, but it's even big when the Cowboys come to Philly. The fans are hyped in this particular game. The coaches are hyped. The players are hyped. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this Week 17 matchup. They block out last week. It was just a fluke. It is what it is. We still need to win two more games to have a shot at the playoffs. They're probably going to need 9 to 10 wins to get to the playoffs, and this moves them to 8-8 on the season with the Week 18 matchup. A Week 18 matchup versus a very, very bad New York Giants team. This is a Giants team that has 2 wins on the season. They've already fired their head coach. Daniel Jones has been benched. Drew Lock has been benched. Insert Tommy DeVito, right? They don't know if they're coming or going. They just want the season to be over, and this game is a complete blowout. The Eagles only play for maybe 3 quarters. Jalen Hurts gets benched, right? Saquon gets benched. A.J. Brown gets benched, not benched, but pulled out, right? They don't want any chance for injury. This game is this ugly. And I think ultimately it leads the Eagles to a 9-8 record. 9-8 record with wins over the Falcons, Browns, sweeping the Giants, Jaguars, the Commanders, and the Cowboys, Panthers, and Steelers. I think the Eagles have a 9-win season ahead of them. A very good opportunity to make the playoffs. With the playoffs now having 7 seeds, this 9 wins might be just good enough to get them into the playoffs. So we got to ask the question, guys, is a 9-8 record for the Philadelphia Eagles good enough to make it into the playoffs? I can't answer that question for you now because I'm not going to spoil my rest of my NFC picks, but I can tell you they have a very good opportunity to make the playoffs this season at 9-8. And if they sneak in there at 9-8, winning 4 of their last 5, they're going to be a team that you don't want to play in the playoffs. They are going to be a team that if they get a home playoff game or a playoff game in general, you do not want to play them. Winning 4 of your last 5, getting hot at the right time is key in the NFL. All those years that the Giants have beaten the Patriots in the Super Bowl, they're a 8-8 team, 9-7 team, sneaking into the playoffs, have to get hot at the right time, and they catapult to the moon, baby. So do you guys agree or disagree? Are the Eagles a 9-win team? What's going on here? Push strong button. Are they a 9-win team? Is it too high? Is it too low? Getting ready to post it as facebook.com/manhour. As soon as it's live and I want to post it, let me know. Do you agree or disagree? Until then, we are out until tomorrow, 2:30 East Coast time, breaking down the Washington Commanders with my man Michael Burlew. See you tomorrow. We out.
And now, Mike's thoughts.
Fantasy football is right around the corner. Fantasy football is a big part of our daily lives right here at Man Hour and, of course, across most of the world. However, do not get fantasy football and real life football mixed up. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is when people want to rank said players, this player is better than this player is better than that player. A lot of them are referring to stats and fantasy numbers, right? All basically make-believe stuff on the fantasy side of things. For example, in this fantasy breakdown that I have right here, it has Saquon Barkley as running back number 1, Derrick Henry as running back number 2, Christian McCaffrey as running back number 3. Do we really think Saquon Barkley is better than Christian McCaffrey going into the 2024 NFL season? No. Nobody in their right mind, I feel, would put Saquon Barkley at number 1 and then CMC at number 3. There is no way stretch about it. Looking at wide receivers here. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver number 1. A.J. Brown, wide receiver number 2. Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver number 3. Are we saying that Garrett Wilson is the best receiver in the NFL? No. Guys, do not get fantasy, do not get real life rankings mixed together. It is a bad juju, and it's going to lead you into a lot of arguments. Also, this fantasy football ranking here had Josh Allen, number 1 at QB1, Jalen Hurts at number 2. You got to scroll all the way down to QB5 before you get Patrick Mahomes. Is Patrick Mahomes a 5th rated quarterback in the NFL? No. What I'm saying is when we release our players in the upcoming days, upcoming weeks of the top 5 running backs, top 5 receivers, top 5 quarterbacks, top 5 tight ends, top 5 defenses, do not get it twisted. These are not based off fantasy numbers. It's based off real life eye test and projection what they're going to do in the 2024 NFL season. Cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Hey, let's go. Hitting that gridiron, we going hard, we running the plays. You know the vibe, only the strong survive. Gotta keep your head in the game. Talking NFL, uncut, straight raw. Steady bringing that sauce. We about to take off. Get it hype, this man, our sport talk. Yeah. From the quarterback to the lineman, everybody bringing heat. You don't really want to try them. Hey, who gon' win? It's a battle of the giants. This show is the flyest. Nobody can deny it. This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down?
What is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckeister here with the Man Hour. Be sure to go to manhourradio.com, manhour.co to check out the merchandise page or check out the blog section as well. But most importantly, check out our forums over there. We got brand new forums. We're really pushing it hard these next couple weeks to let's get 100 members over there, guys. We released it back in March, kind of that soft launch thing, and now we are full blown. If you want to go talk some NFL shit over there, head over to the forums and check it out. But as promised, we're going to talk a little bit about Washington Commanders today. And we got the man, the myth, the legend, the greatest Washington Commander fan out there, Michael Burlew. What's up, Mike? What's going on today, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm the biggest because I'm probably one of the last ones remaining of them. So, yeah, that's all we can do. But
yeah, so obviously the Commanders may be a dying breed, but you are a fan through and through, and that is why I have you on here. I love it when you talk smack on our posts over there on IG and Facebook. But for the people that do not know you, explain who you are, what you're all about, and also tell them about your podcast.
Sure. My name is Michael Burlew. I actually grew up in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, and the New Jersey area. I am a Philadelphia fan in every single sport except for the NFL. And everybody who gets confused on that, the basic story is, as I was growing up, all I have memories at a very young age was the early days of the USFL with the Philadelphia Stars, two-time champions. Go Philadelphia Stars. But the first memory I can remember of an NFL game was the great 82 Super Bowl. I remember seeing Johnny Riggins plowing down the field on the Miami Dolphins on that 4th and 1, clinching the Super Bowl. I remember going to sleep as they announced that the Washington Redskins had become the Super Bowl champions, and just something about it said, you know what? I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to stick with it. And no, it worked for quite a while being a Redskins fan over an Eagles fan. Then the 2000s came and that all got screwed up, but been a lifelonger. I've been to many of their games. I've gone to Philadelphia games. I got my butt chewed out and I chewed them back out, but I love the team. Maybe one day they'll love me back.
Yeah, I just want to point it out there because we do got a lot of Miami Dolphins fans that do follow the show. The Redskins did beat the Miami Dolphins in the Super Bowl. Just to let all you Miami Dolphins know that you guys still do not have a Super Bowl. Sorry about your luck, but the Commanders, Redskins do. But I also know, Michael, that you have a podcast. I have listened to your podcast several times. Tell the people a little bit about your podcast.
Sure. It's a comedy radio style podcast called Verbal Shenanigans. I am the host along with my buddy Scott Brennan. And like I say, it's kind of a comedy banter thing. We do bits, we do current events, we do a lot of comedy stuff. And every week we have a unique guest on the show. Now, it varies from time to time, but for our NFL fans out there, I've had Joe Jacoby from the Commanders. I've had Trent Dilfer, Super Bowl champion. I had Randy Cross a couple months ago, Super Bowl for the 49ers. I've had J.J. Vernon on, but we like to mix it up. So along with all that, I've had the world's fastest backwards mile runner. I've had a stool bank on the show. I've had the world's largest female athlete who was a sumo wrestler in the UK. We keep it different. We have different actors, musicians, celebrities. We do it weekly. It's Verbal Shenanigans. Check it out on Podbean, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah, guys. So I will be posting his link in the Spotify here in the description below. So be sure to check it out. I haven't listened to you guys for about a few months here, but I'm gonna have to check out that Trent Dilfer show because I love me some Trent Dilfer. I'm not gonna lie. But let's talk about your Washington Commanders here. Obviously, last season was not quite the way you wanted it to go. You ultimately did go 4-13, losing the last 7 games of the season. But also mid-season, you did kind of shuffle the deck and traded away some of your defensive studs, right? You traded away Marquez Sweat to the Bears and Chase Young to the San Francisco 49ers. Moving forward, looking into the 2024 season, obviously they're not there and they weren't there half of the season, but how does that affect you guys moving forward? Is it a big loss or do you think you can rebound from losing those guys?
I feel Sweat was a loss. He was kind of the leader of the team. I totally understand why they did it. I would consider this year the official first year of the new management. Last year, I think the sale went through in June or July or something like that.
Yeah.
Way too late to like really shake up anything right there. But I feel what they're doing right there. I saw what the new GM is doing. They're getting capital for their stuff and all. There are a ton of contracts this year. There are 1-year contracts where I feel they're sitting back going, okay, if we hit the iceberg, we got a few lifeboats that we can send out there and move on. Obviously, it's a tough thing. We picked up a couple Cowboys for our defensive line, which could help out. I still feel that they might even make moves the way that they got Newton in the second round at defensive tackle, and Allen kind of changing his vibes about what he was always like, I'm all for the Commanders, and then he got on that tirade after like 5th or 6th loss about I'm sick of this. So I can totally, this is going to affect us, but I think these are kind of like the first steps in trying to get back into the direction of the old school Redskins, you know.
Right. And just to add to your point, you guys did have a pretty active off season. You added tight end Zach Ertz, you added Austin Eckler, and you guys have also, added some defensive guys and just like you spoke of here. But I want to focus on the offensive side of the ball. And Austin Eckler, he has come out and like and said, finally, I can go into an offense where I'm not going to run the ball 300 plus times a season. When you first heard that, what were your first initial thoughts? You're like, Austin Eckler, you're a running back. You're supposed to run the ball. What were your thoughts when he said something like that?
I feel with the design of the team, it kind of makes sense to what he's saying. I mean, Robinson is the workhorse running back. I like him. There's nothing special about him, but he's the guy you're going to give 20, 25 times. It's like go up the middle. You can take the hits and kind of live with it. I don't find it too troubling because I see him more as both the kind of like the second down and the third down kind of running back from there. So, yeah, I mean, it all depends on how the system is set up, but I'm not terribly worried about him on the running side. I want to see a lot more out of the backfield. As we talked before the show, there's talk about McCaffrey's been getting some looks in tailback. They still have Rodriguez from a couple years ago. So they have options if they feel like, all right, we're going to keep you as a third down running back and keep you safe by putting others out there for you.
Right. So one of the biggest head scratchers to me signing this offseason was a tight end of Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz was recently an Arizona Cardinal. I think he basically said he doesn't want to play for the Arizona Cardinals about week 3, week 4 last season, was anticipating being picked up by a team, never ultimately got picked up. Now he's with the Washington Commanders here. Do you expect Zach Ertz to be that number 1 tight end, or is somebody that you guys drafted from my Kansas State University, Ben Stinnett, going to be the guy? Like, what do you expect from Zach Ertz?
I feel like he's a good name. He's a good leader, but I can't fathom him being a major factor in this team. He's one, though. Basically, if you told me Dan Snyder picked up Zach Ertz, I wouldn't have been surprised there. I was a little kind of thrown back by the pick, but he could be just a leader in locker room. I know they have a couple. I'm trying to think of the one, Amari something, our third tight end from last year. He got injured kind of early on. There was a lot of rumblings like he could have been something right there. So I think he'll be a good leader. Maybe he'll go into it with a rejuvenated thought process, but brutal honesty, I'm looking in the 20 to 30 catch range at best, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm stretching for that number.
Yeah, so do you think he's strictly there just for a rah-rah guy, kind of leader of the locker room, kind of taking that rookie quarterback under his wing and leading him in the right directions, kind of what it seems like here? When I look at your wide receiver core, you have potentially a really, really decent wide receiver core. You got Jamison Crowder still. You got Scary Terry in there. You got Dotson, and you also drafted Luke McCaffrey as well, which is doubling right now as a tailback as well. When you look at this wide receiver core, Scary Terry, Crowder, and Dobson kind of really screams a really good receiver core at me. How would you judge your guys' wide receiver core going into this season?
They have the potential to be very good. It's all with now that we have, as a Washington fan, I'll say we have our quote-unquote quarterback, because we've said it about 35 times already in the last few years. If Daniels can be the quarterback that they all say he is, maybe we can start seeing the numbers on there. I love Terry McLaurin dearly. Biggest problem I have with him, he makes amazing catches, but he's not getting distance on that cornerback. That's the biggest problem I have with the wide receiver one. I was sort of one of the few that when I was hearing rumblings of Ayuk trade coming over, I was kind of like, I might like that, and I'll make Terry a 2, where it's like, I'm going to go in the middle, and even though there's guys in front of me, I'm going to find a way to catch that ball. But the potential's there. Dotson, he showed stretches, but he can stretch the field. Crowder is a good, 4. Dommy Brown, if he ever meets his potential. And no, he was stretching the field. He got a few touchdowns a couple years ago in the Wentz years. And also everything is potential, but it's all with the execution. Can Kingsbury come up with a plan where we're getting open things? And if we get the tailbacks and the Ecklers and the tight ends going, then we can start seeing it and start getting progress. But I still need to see it to be like, I'm fully on board for this.
Yeah. So you guys have potentially kind of had a sneaky good roster. I'm not going to lie. As a passive Cowboys fan, when I see this roster, I'm kind of like, don't let them get hot, right? You added a new head coach. You add a new offensive coordinator. But most importantly, you guys did draft your quarterback in Jaden Daniels this season. Jaden Daniels seems to have a lot of upside. What have you been seeing? What have you been noticing from camp? And what do you expect from him with this new look offense?
I think the biggest thing that I wanted to see that I'm loving is maturity from him. Like when they sign him and everybody's going rah, rah, he's like, haven't done anything, anybody. Let me get my feet going. Let me become the quarterback you think I'm going to be before you start saying, give me a Subway commercial, give me this, give me that. Hearing all this stuff about getting in 5 a.m. He's developing a relationship with McCaffrey, which I really love right there. And all, as we've always needed, like that third option. So those are all good things right there. He has all the tools. I would like to see him, as he goes along with his career, get a little weight on him. I mean, with the terrible conditions as now Commanders Field, there's definitely thoughts of nightmares of RG3 pass and all with the ripped ACLs and so forth. So I'd like to see a little meat on him and make sure he understands when he gets running to slide there. But everything is in line for finally having a quarterback. I'm very excited. I'm very glad they didn't fall for the Drake May thing and let him go to New England. I'm super excited for this setup. It's all a matter of getting that system going and getting him accustomed to it, to the NFL, and start getting some wins.
Yeah. One thing that made me fall in love with Jaden Daniels this draft was when they had a pro combine, he had opportunities to work at other places. You know, he had opportunities to throw at the NFL combine here in Indianapolis. He decided to do everything back at his home stadium so the people around him could get looks, right? His receivers and some of the tailbacks. And that really showed a lot of maturity and much maturity that you need going into a situation like you guys do have in Washington. Because let's just be honest, it is right now, it's probably one of the worst franchises out there. Granted, new ownership, new general manager, new everything. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But here on the Man Hour, we speak a lot about potential. And potentially, I want you to talk about your Washington Commanders. We talk about a ceiling and a floor. Like, how many wins do you think they can max out? 12, 11, 14 wins? Or what is an extreme terrible season? What is a floor and a ceiling for your Commanders?
I would say at the ceiling, I would probably say about 9 wins, kind of like sneak into the third wild card. If I had to like put money down, I'm putting it in the 7 to 9 range. I feel like early on they got good matchups and teams where we've seen it from every year and all the new coach, a new system where these teams are going in going, well, I got to look at Arizona Cardinals videos from 5 years ago to figure out Kingsbury. I got to watch Dallas Cowboys last year. I can't figure out what I'm actually going to see. So I think they can take advantage of it. Schedule is a little rough. I mean, playing the AFC North, that does not help a team that's trying to get their legs going on there. The absolute floor, I would probably guesstimate around in the 4 to 5 range, and that is basically if things aren't working out, if we get an injury and we have to go back to Marcus Mariota to try to win games and kind of look like last year, just struggling. If the offensive line isn't working, they had some great ads, but I'm still questioning their decisions at tackle right now. They have the third rounder from TCU, who's a guard listed as the number 1 tackle on one side and Cornelius Lucas on the other. So that's not the greatest setup. I'm hoping they pick up a tackle when releases happen during the preseason. But I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's got to look at this as the first building block year because, like I said, you can't really count what they could do last year with how late everybody got in. They got the new GM and so forth. They might trade away some stuff if they're at the like 3-4 win and they're saying we're not hitting the wild card. They have like 40 some people on expiring contracts, so I can see them getting rid of an Allen, getting rid of Wagner, getting rid of Chin or something like that. If anybody has value, I think this GM is going to get rid of them if the season's cooked.
Yeah, so you mentioned this many, many times. This is the first season of the new regime, ownership, general manager, coaching, like, etc. As a fan, I want you to take off your owner hat, put on your fan hat here. How many years do you give Dan Quinn to turn this team around before you're putting him on the hot seat?
I got to give him a good 3 on that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's less than that since I don't know this ownership group, just on the fact that all the rumors were they were going to get that hot defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator from Detroit, and magically they're like, we're not interested. You're basketball people, and kind of shoot them away. And Dan Quinn came back. I feel with the new ownership, they have to give him at least 3 though, because as we said, just the stench of every coach that left and basically badmouthed the organization, said how terrible everything is. They gotta get things going. They have to figure out their new stadium, and they have to fill that stadium with their actual fans instead of visiting fans that come down there. So I think they got to give them at least 3 years on that. But after that, then they have to consider somebody else, because then it's Daniels has 2 more years. If he's showing he's a real quarterback and you're not getting the wins and you know you're going to have to pay him $50 million, you got to figure something out fast.
Yeah, very, very true. All right, guys. So we are speaking with Michael Burlew here from the Verbal Shenanigans. His link to his podcast is down in the description below. But Michael, right now, gun to your head, you have to pick a record for the Washington Commanders in the 2024 NFL season. What is their record?
I'm going to go 7-10. I feel that they're going to kind of do what they do in many years. I think they're going to start hot. I think they're going to take advantage of nobody really knows what this scheme is going to be and take care of the Giants and the Cardinals early on and so forth. Then I think they're going to hit the brick wall when the Ravens and all the big AFC North teams come by. Then I think they're going to slip back and kind of get the last couple wins in the season. I could see Dallas resting people to get that Week 18, where I get them at 7 and all just above what Vegas says we're going to do. So,
all right. So one more question before I let you go. Does Jaden Daniels start Week 1?
I think he has to. I I cannot see any advantage of putting Marcus Mariota out there. Nobody sits back and goes, he's a starter. Nobody thinks he's not even really a game manager. He's just kind of decent. I would say he's equivalent in a pinch, but you got to get the kid out there, get his legs out there, and just go with it. I mean, there's been enough losing. I think nobody's going into the season saying we got Super Bowl or bust. So I think you just got to go, kid, go out there into the fire. Let's start learning. Let's start making sure you know what it's like to be an NFL quarterback, and let's grow together.
All right, man. Thank you for joining me here today. Before I let you skate away here, tell the people one more time about your show and where they can find you.
All right. The show is called the Verbal Shenanigans Podcast. You can find them on any of your platforms, Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and so forth. We have hilarious conversations. We have bits. Me and my friend Scott Brennan, we're both comedians. We have guests every single week on the show. I mean, I just talked to the head of the Antarctica Science Station last week. I never thought in my life I would ever talk to somebody in Antarctica, but I did. We're coming up on our 500th episode. We've been doing this for 10 years. We have a large catalog. Pretty much any interest you have in anything, we probably interviewed somebody in that. So check us out. The show is called Verbal Shenanigans.
All right, man. As always, thank you for joining us, and we'll have to have you on sometime during the season when the Commanders make the playoffs, and you are on cloud 9.
Sounds good, my friend.
All right, see you next time. My guy, Michael Burlew from Verbal Shenanigans. He has the Washington Commanders going about 7 wins this season. I see many people in the chat here saying 6 wins, 4 wins, 3 wins. Well, guys, guess what? I am going to shock you. I think I'm going to shock the world here when I tell you that the Washington Commanders are potentially a playoff team. Because when we really, truly look at the Washington Commanders moving forward, they do have a pretty good offense. Offensive line needs some help, but the defense is pretty much intact as well. They added some veterans. They added, Dante Flower, a junior, earlier this offseason. They added Bobby Wagner as well to add that veteran leadership. And they got a great mixture of young and old players on the Washington Commanders team. So let's go ahead and go through each and every week, talk about these like this particular games, and let's see if I have them higher than 7 wins or lower than 7 wins moving forward. Week number 1, they are on the road. Jaden Daniels gets his first start as the NFL quarterback with the Washington Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys, I've been speaking very highly of them basically ever since they got Baker Mayfield last season. I think this year continues on to that trek. I think Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a really good team. Hell, they might even be the real deal. I wouldn't quite put Super Bowl in their name yet, but they are right there. They are a really, really, really close team. And unfortunately, the Washington Commanders take the first L of the season into week 1 when they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The one thing that I want to speak positive so far about the Washington Commanders schedule is usually a lot of their games that they are expected to win or favored to win are home games. A lot of these games early off in the season that they're not expected to win to even be a chance, and they are on the road. This will take pressure off of Jaden Daniels, I think, because when he does eventually come home and they are expected to win, he already has 4, 5, 6 games under his belt. So that is a big key to this year to the Washington Commanders schedule. But week number 2, first home game for Jaden Daniels, new head coach, new general manager, this is the ownership's second year, but this is their first full offseason, and we're deeming this their first season. New York Giants come into town and take on the Washington Commanders here. We have spoken about how bad I think the New York Giants are going to be. We have spoken about how discombobulated that team actually is. And I think Jaden Daniels gets his first win as a quarterback for the Washington Commanders week number 2 versus the New York Football Giants, moving them into a 1-1 record going into week 3. Once again, I said early this season they play a lot of tough games, but they're on the road. gives the chance for this Commanders team to grow. Give this Jaden Daniels a chance to get, dry behind the ears, meaning growing up a little bit, right? Week 3, they do travel to Cincinnati to take on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. This is another really good team in the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals schedule may not reflect of how good they are at the end of 2024 NFL season because they do play a lot of tough games, but the Bengals are a pretty good team. I do think the Commanders do lose this game ultimately, but they play well. It is a nice competitive game all 4 quarters, and the Bengals are just a little bit better than the Commanders in this Week 3 game, moving the Commanders to 1-2 on the season. Week 4, this is a game that they might be favored in. This is a game that when they travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals and Kyler Murray and the boys, this is the game that we might see some swagger, some momentum start coming out of Washington. I think the Commanders do go into Arizona, and I do think they play a very competitive game. They play a complete game. They beat the Arizona Cardinals. Now, granted, it is the Arizona Cardinals. I have them not being very good this season, but it is still a good win. They are now a 500 team going into Week 5. These next couple games here are tough for the Commanders. These next couple games are really not a rookie quarterback's friend. You are playing some of the top defenses in the NFL, some of the top teams in the NFL, and it starts with the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns come into Washington, D.C., and they kind of lay the wood to the Commanders. The Commanders were starting to climb up the ladder, starting to climb up the branch, but they get knocked down. They get knocked down a couple pegs in this game, moving them to 2-3 on the season. Week 6 is much of the same. At least they are on the road this week, not at home. They're traveling to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the boys. Now, historically, Lamar Jackson and the boys like to overlook these weaker opponents in middle of the season. Week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. History tells you that they might be looking forward to the next game. History tells you that they're looking forward to that Browns game, to that Bengals game, right? There's 7, 8, 9 games. However, no matter how bad the Ravens played this game, they pull it out. Put the ball in Derrick Henry's hands, put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands, and it's literally too much skill at this particular point. The Ravens do beat the Washington Commanders, moving them to 2-6 or 2-4 now on the season going into this Week 7 game. This Week 7 game here, you played the Buccaneers, you played the Bengals, you played the Browns, you played the Ravens. All top-notch teams. Let's not get it twisted. Week 7, it gets a little easier. It gets a little easier, and it shows on the field. Jaden Daniels comes out and plays a complete game. From start to finish, he is looking like a very, very good quarterback. No longer the rookiness is in him. Jaden Daniels looks like the man, the myth, the legend that many Commander fans think he's going to be, and he flexes on the Carolina Panthers in this Week 7 game, giving them their 3rd win on the season. Week number 8, back at home, back-to-back home games for the first time this season. They welcome another rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams, and the Chicago Bears into town. Rookie-on-rookie crime this Week 8 matchup, and I think the later rookie gets the better of the higher rookie. Beating Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders do beat the Chicago Bears Week 8. The Chicago Bears have a lot of upside to them. The Chicago Bears have a really good roster around them. I'm not saying Caleb Williams is going to be the next greatest thing since sliced bread. We're not saying he's going to be a bust either. The problem in Chicago is their coaching staff. We'll be talking about the NFC North next week, and I'll tell you, Matt Eberflus may not even make it out of Week 6. The Chicago Bears have a very, very bad coaching staff, and it reflects in this Week 8 game versus the Commanders. The Commanders now have won 2 games in a row, winning 3 of their last 5. The people are starting to think the Commanders might kind of be getting the momentum going, right? Stringing some games together, starting to look pretty good. But then they go to New York. They did beat the Giants earlier this season. Yes, the Giants are a bad team. Yes, at this point, Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll might be fired. Who knows? but the Giants do get one of their 2 wins versus the Commanders in this Week 9 game. The Commanders kind of had a little swag about them, right? They beat the Giants Week 2. Hey, we played them Week 9. We're on a 2-game winning streak. Let's look forward to the Steelers. Let's look forward to the Eagles in 10, 11, 12 weeks here. Point of the matter is the Commanders are not there yet. They're not that good enough yet to be overlooking anything, and the Giants come up and nip them in the butt, breaking their 2-game winning streak, and this is when the things start trying to roll off here. One thing about the Commanders season this year, guys, is I don't think they're ever going to consistently put together back-to-back wins, right? They are not going to consistently play good NFL games. They're going to look great. They're going to look bad. Great, bad, medium, great, right? They're never going to be consistently putting together great NFL games, and that's what you do to win a lot of games, and the Commanders just aren't there yet this season. Week 10 proves that as well. Pittsburgh Steelers come into town, right? The Commanders were on a 2-game winning streak, lost to the Giants, and come Week 10, losing to the Steelers as well. The Steelers is a really good NFL team. From top to bottom, the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably one of the best teams in the NFL. If I had to put a number of how good the team is in general, they're a top 5 team. Their quarterback play just not has to suck for them to win a lot of games. Super Bowl? No. But winning a lot of games, a lot of regular season games, especially versus the Commanders, yes, the Steelers win this game. Week 11, we talked about the Philadelphia Eagles, yesterday, right? The Philadelphia Eagles are kind of a team that really high ceiling, really low floor. Kind of like the Commanders, right? I mean, the Commanders don't have as high a ceiling, but they got a pretty high ceiling, but a pretty low floor as well. And this game is a mixture of both. We see the best of one team and the worst of the other team. In the Eagles, we see the best of them in this game, and giving the Commanders a 3-game losing streak going into Week 12. Week 12, they are finally back at home. Finally had road losses to the Eagles, a home loss to the Commanders. They're back at home. Kind of reality has set in at this particular point, and you're just like, you know what? Let's just go out there and play ball, right? We're probably not going to make the playoffs. Right now, we're only sitting at 4 wins on the season. We are 4 and 6, right? 4 and 7. We're just not a very good team right now. Week 12, the Cowboys come into town. The Cowboys think that in the back of their head. Hey, easy win for us. The Commanders come up and bite them in the ass. The Commanders win this game. The Commanders start to put together some complete games again. And Week 13, that carries over. Back-to-back home games. Tennessee Titans come into town. I love me some Tennessee Titans. I love me Will Levis. The signing of Jamal Adams today makes me like the Tennessee Titans even that much better. But the Commanders do win this game. The Commanders win back-to-back games yet again over the Dallas Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans. Mark D is in the chat. He says, Buck, you have too much confidence in the Steelers. Slow it down, baby. Slow it down. He said he will make their good old line look like garbage, as in Russ. I don't know. Week 14 is the bye week for the Commanders. Much needed bye week. I love these late season bye weeks, especially for these younger teams, right, that have kind of gone through a gauntlet of a season so far. Especially with young quarterbacks, young players. Hey, we played 13 games. Let's get a rest. Let's relax. And Week 14, they kind of have a bye week hangover. I think Week 14, the Commanders go into New Orleans, and they just kind of just forget to show up, right? Because many of these college kids, right, they've been playing nonstop for 2 years, basically, right? From the national championship game, you have like 2 weeks off, then you're in to training mode, into combine mode, into pro day mode, and then draft. Everything's coming at you so fast, right? Week 15, they hit, quote, the freshman wall. And having that late season bye week, freshman wall is a recipe for disaster for the Commanders in Week 14 or Week 15, and they get the loss versus the Saints. Michael Glass is in the chat, says, what's up? He says, Huffy. I don't know what Huffy means. Like the bite? It is what it is. Week 16. Philadelphia Eagles come back into town. Basically, at this point, the Commanders have had 2 weeks off. Of course, the bye week, week 14, forgetting to show up week 15. They bounce back and they play a great game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are kind of just a sitting duck right now. They're battling for the playoffs lives. The Eagles at this point, guys, have to win 4 of their last 5 games. They've already won 3 in a row at this particular point. Overlooking the Commanders, looking forward to the Cowboys the next week, and the Eagles dropped this game, giving the Commanders their 7th win on the season. And win number 8 comes week 17. Week 17 when the Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons come into town. Too much Washington Commanders, too much confidence in them right now. The Commanders are playing some pretty good football right now. They are looking at an 8-8 schedule, and they're looking at an outside chance of making the playoffs going into week 18. Basically, everything is out on the table week 18. Win and you're in, right? When we get 9 wins, when we get a winning season, when we're the talk of the town. Too much Dallas Cowboys week 18. Too much Dallas Cowboys week 18. The Commanders aren't quite ready to get over that ledge, to get over that hump in 2024, and I think they finished the season 8-9. I think the Washington Commanders are an 8-win team in this 2024 NFL season. I think Jaden Daniels is a good addition. I think Jaden Daniels is ultimately going to probably be the best quarterback out of this class. Better than Drake May, better than Caleb Williams. I like me some Jaden Daniels. I like his maturity level. I like his ability to kind of harness the game and slow it down. However, if the Commanders did not play the AFC North, they could potentially probably be a playoff team. Because when you play the AFC North, arguably the hardest division in football, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers, it is tough to get those wins. If you replace all of those guys with, let's say, the AFC West, right? You might split with them. You might go, hell, you might even go 1-3. But that one extra win is a 9-win season and potential playoff berth. Playing the AFC North for the NFC East this season is definitely a huge ego kick, right? But I do think the Washington Commanders are 8-9 this season, with wins over the Giants, Cardinals, Panthers, Bears, Cowboys, Titans, Eagles, and Falcons. I do think they split the division series. They are 3-3 with everybody, and ultimately they just can't quite get over that hump. So what do you guys think? Am I too high, too low on the Washington Commanders? Tomorrow, right here on Man Hour, guys, we'll be talking the full, complete NFC East. We'll be releasing what I think is going to happen, in stat form, so you guys see, like, we already know what's going to happen. But we're going to officially, post the rankings, where they stand, because ties and whatnot. And then, of course, you got way or no way. If you guys got a way or no way in any of the NFC East division, post it, DM me, do whatever you got to do. We'll answer that question for you guys tomorrow, right here on Man Hour, 2:30 East Coast time. Until then, we out.